guys, welcome back. It's been a while, a long while. This is the wrap up. What's normally supposed to be the Raptors post game live show brought to you by Raptors Republic. But today, myself and Oren, this was Oren's great idea, by the way, are bringing you a live draft lottery show. And I know Raptors fans, we haven't been here in a while. Myself and Oren have spent the last few weeks, maybe even months, preying on Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, all the guys, Jalen Suggs. But good news, we are scheduled, or at least probability-wise, we can hope for a top. What are you hoping for, Oren? 6 pick? Top 5 pick?
No,
for the number 1 pick.
Here. Let me break down the odds just so everybody knows, because we actually can't get the 5th or 6th pick. The Raptors, they can only get top 4, or else they can get 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
So we're only drawing for the top 4 spots. And then after that, so basically that means that they'll start at 14 and go down. That means if by 7 you haven't heard the Raptors called yet, that means they got a top 4 pick. And me personally, I actually want to just make this point right off the bat. Yeah. If the Raptors get a top 4 pick, we just need to be satisfied with that. I don't want to see people complaining, oh, but we could have got number 1. Oh, we could have got Mobley at 2. Mm-hmm. Like, if we get 4, just be happy. Like, if we move up, just be happy. Because it's a 4-person draft by pretty much everyone's standards. Mm-hmm. You know, the 2 Jalen's, Mobley and Cade are the clear top 4, I think. So just be happy if they move up, and if they stay still and move down a bit, then we can riot. I'm down to riot then.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not get our hopes up too much. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've been hoping for Cade, which essentially means I've been hoping for the number 1 pick. But yeah, my expectations are lower. If we get top 4, it's okay. And honestly, I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but if we get 8, 9, or 10, I'm okay with that too. It's not ideal, of course, but where did we draft Pascal Siakam? 20-something?
Yeah.
Malachi Flynn, 20-something. Fred VanVleet, undrafted. Like, we got to remember, guys, the best players on this roster, most of the best players on this roster, were either drafted fairly late in the first round, drafted in the second round, or undrafted. So let's temper our expectations. You guys can be excited, like me, myself and Oren are for sure. If we get anywhere from 1 to 4, I am so happy, because that guarantees us Cade. That guarantees us either Cade, Mobley, Kuminga, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs. Oren, let me ask you a question. If we do get a top 4 pick, I know people don't want to hear this, but is there a chance we trade it?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think there is a chance we trade it, but like the market, we talked about this before the season ended, and I was basically saying, like, there's no one out there available right now, and that was true then, and it's really not true anymore. Like, Portland needs to make a move. CJ might be available. Philly needs to make a move, right? Ben Simmons might be available. Like, I'm not sure if these are players that the Raptors want and are great fits, but I think there's definitely more of a market than there was, and I think there's a chance they trade it, but I also think, like, it's really hard to talk yourself into trading a player who, and that's the difference between the top 4 and then after that, is that the Raptors will get a good player no matter what in this draft, but the top 4, I think, can contribute to winning right away. And then after that, there are high upside players, but they're players that's going to take a little bit more time, and that the Raptors might need to, like, push their contention plans back a little bit if the Raptors don't land in the top 4, right? So what was the question again?
Forget the question.
Yeah.
I'm just excited, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, me too. And I was researching this, and the last time the Raptors had their own pick in the lottery, they had a different one where they had someone else's pick going to them in the lottery, I think the Knicks, but the last time they had their own pick was 2012, when they picked Terrence Ross 8th overall. So it's been so long since they've been in this position. How you feeling in terms of, like, your jitters and your nerves right now?
This is weird because I feel like our best odds come at what? Is it 8? 8? We have like a 30-something
Yes.
percent chance at getting 8.
Let me actually break down the odds real quick, just so
Yeah,
everyone
please,
knows.
please. Because
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people in the comments aren't too sure themselves either.
Yeah. Okay. Number 1 pick, 7.5% chance. Number 2 pick, 7.8%. Number 3, 8.1. Number 4, 8.5. So they basically have a 32% chance of landing a top 4 pick. No chance at a 5 or 6. And then 7, 19.8% chance at 7. 8, 33.9% chance at 8. Highest odds. 9, 13% chance. And 10, 1.4% chance. So there it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So they could slide too.
Damn, 10, 1.4%. That sounds like the type of luck the Raptors
don't say it. No, don't say it. Knock on wood. Knock on the dresser.
After the season we just had.
No.
I feel like every Raptor went down. Kyle Lowry.
I have a very important question though.
Yeah.
Does the NBA rig the draft? Just in general.
You're putting me on the spot. Do you want my honest answer? Will this get me fired?
What do you think?
Republic if I answer honestly?
Yeah, we're getting fired regardless.
This is our last live show, by the way. No, is it rigged? Oh man, that Knicks whole Ewing saga that happened, that was kind of a stain, I think, on the NBA's history of the draft lottery. It reminded me a lot of the refereeing aspect of the NBA, where the Kings Lakers had that entire fiasco in the early 2000s. And those are the two situations when it comes to the draft lottery and refereeing. When people bring up the rigged aspect, I don't know if it's rigged. Cop-out answer, I don't know. And I wouldn't be shocked either way, to be quite honest. But if it is rigged, Adam Silver knows that obviously Cade Cunningham would look best in the red, black, and white. So, Adam Silver, because I know you're watching this, if you're watching this, bring Cade to Toronto. Yeah. And we're playing in Toronto, by the way. We got vaxxed up.
Yeah.
Most of the players, I'm sure, are vaxxed up.
I'm double vaxxed up. Ooh, ready to go.
Ooh, look at this guy, double.
Feeling strong as ever. I could get through anything right now. You could
How'd you feel after
the
first day?
I actually just kind of felt tired for a few days, but I never felt like really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of got over it recently though. But
yeah.
What was I gonna say about the Raptors?
The first 24 hours are pretty bad. My first one wasn't too bad. I mean, I got a sore arm for one day and it was gone the next day. Didn't feel anything since.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, here's some hope for Raptors fans is that the Leafs have been a historically cursed franchise, as everyone knows, right? Everyone knows that the Leafs are just the worst. They should honestly be relegated. Anyways, they were like tanking for a few years back in like 2016 to 18 or something like that, and the NHL is kind of similar where it's like, I don't know, maybe it's rigged, maybe it's not. And then the Leafs ended up getting Austin Matthews #1 overall. And that was the moment where, a historically cursed franchise, their luck turned for them. And the Raptors really haven't been historically cursed in the same way. We literally won a championship.
Yeah.
But if people think the Raptors are unlucky and there's no way that he would give a pick to, I don't know, like, that just might give you a little bit of hope because the Leafs got their generational player through the draft, through getting the #1 pick. And it was a very similar situation to tonight, I guess, though they had slightly better odds. So, yeah, there is hope for Toronto. There's always hope.
What's that? Damn, I'm starting to think, was the Austin Matthews draft pick, and I'm not a Maple Leafs fan, by the way, for all those people who are Raptors and Leafs fans, but was the Austin Matthews draft pick, was that the thing that cursed Toronto? Was that the NHL commissioner's way of saying, okay, here's this gift?
No, dude.
Guess what? You guys are never coming out of a first round series.
They blew a 3-1 lead to the Bruins in like the last 5 minutes of the third period before Austin Matthews. So that was the worst, and that happened to them before this whole regime and this whole team got there. So I honestly think that team could be cursed, and it just is what it is, and that's fine because we now have a better team in the city, arguably two better teams in the city with the way the Blue Jays. So yeah,
Ooh, the Blue Jays look good. And I'm like in and out, like Maple
I'm in
Leafs,
and
I'll
out
back
too.
up. I'll say I'm not a Maple Leafs fan. Sorry if you're a hockey fan watching this. I don't find hockey
I'm not sorry. They're
entertaining for
losers. The
me.
team you root for, a bunch full of losers, just absolutely
Yeah.
stock full of them.
Yeah, so I'm not a hockey fan. I'm a huge football fan, huge basketball fan. And then baseball I can watch. Like baseball's a sport that I could definitely watch. I've been to baseball games before live. They're great. And apparently, the Toronto Blue Jays employ one of the best players in baseball right now. And one of the younger players in baseball in Vladdy Guerrero Jr. So, it's good. Overall, I think you can say Toronto sports is in a pretty good place. The Raptors, I know they're in the lottery tonight, but would you be shocked if they're in the middle of the Eastern Conference playoff race next year? If they're healthy, not really. And then the Blue Jays look good. They have building blocks and Vladdy and Bo Bichette. And the Leafs have some building blocks themselves. They're just cursed. So
yeah, let's talk
we'll
about
leave it at that.
The NBA though, and from a Raptors perspective, I think this playoffs that's going on still, but mostly the stuff that's already happened in the East. From a Raptors perspective, I don't think you could be any more happy, right? The Celtics completely blew up. Their coach became their general manager, though he has no experience. They traded Kemba for Al Horford. They don't have a head coach right now. Miami got swept by the Bucks. Real quick to get out of the way, the Bucks are going to be good. Brooklyn's going to be amazing next season, and Atlanta's up. Certified. Trae Young's a certified problem. But we got to talk about Philly, the Philadelphia 76ers, because the way they went out after not trading for Kyle Lowry and after Daryl Morey saying, well, we really liked what we got in George Hill. We really think we got a really good veteran point guard who's going to do everything for us.
You're about 4 years late, buddy. Maybe 5.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you feeling right now, Philly fans? Because, I don't care. I care. I like Embiid a lot. I really feel bad that he had a torn meniscus, but it was no excuse to lose that series. I had a big debate with a friend of the pod, Samson Folk, on Twitter about this, and it's like, our other friend, Assad, put it best. They underperformed relative to their injuries. They did have injuries. They had Embiid injured and they had Danny Green injured. But Danny Green, come on, Danny Green's not winning you a championship. They underperformed relative to those injuries, and it was the same problems that they've had for so many years. Why did people think Ben Simmons was just going to take this jump every single season in the playoffs? He's stood in the dunker spot and did nothing. So I'm happy as a Raptors fan that Philly.
Listen, it's always good to see Philly just fall on their knees and hit their face on the pavement. That's always great. But I'm going to preface that all of my Philadelphia slander. By the way, if you haven't listened to William Liu and Assad's podcast from Yahoo Sports Canada, listen to it now. If you love Philadelphia 76ers slander, if you just love Raptors,
I missed that. I gotta
subscribe to that podcast. Yeah. Other than that, what was I going to say? Prefacing everything I'm about to say about the Philadelphia 76ers, I love Joel Embiid. I'm a massive, massive Joel Embiid fan. And on the Bucks side, I know we didn't talk about the Bucks, but on the Bucks side, I'm a massive Giannis fan. I just do not like Budenholzer, and I do not like Philadelphia as a whole. But with all that being said, is it great to see Philadelphia lose? Sure. Is it a personal thing when you say you're rooting for the downfall of a team? Not really. I don't want to get too much into the whole Ben Simmons thing because I feel like he's caught more than enough strays in the last I want to say week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, putting up 5 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds and 6 turnovers. So what I will say about Philly though is Ben Simmons won't be on the team next year. You don't have to be an NBA fan, I think. Not even forget Philly, Raptors. You don't even have to be an NBA fan to make that statement. That's almost clear as day. The regression, or really even just him being at status quo since he's entered the league, the lack of a jump shot, the lack of a shot overall, the lack of just wanting to take a shot, is not great. Philadelphia is a team that almost employs Ben Simmons as, okay, you're going to be a point guard in name, but you're really just a 4 who can't shoot, who in the playoffs can't really do anything around the rim either, which is the reason why he's putting up 4 or 5, 6 field goal attempts a game. But yeah, he's got to go. I don't even know if Tobias is going to be there next year. And that's not me saying that their flame out is his fault. I think most people would realize that Ben Simmons just didn't do enough for Philadelphia to beat a team like the Atlanta Hawks. I had Philly winning in 6. So, that's not taking away from Atlanta. Atlanta's a damn good team, a team has a good blend of veterans and young guys. But the way I looked at it was Philadelphia had the playoff pedigree. They had Joel Embiid, they had Tobias, Ben Simmons. They've had those guys for the last few years. They should have beaten Atlanta. But at the same time, if you're an Atlanta Hawks fan watching this, you're probably saying that better team won the series. And you may have a point. Atlanta just is much better overall as a team. Their roster balance is much better. Who do I feel sorry for the most? Probably Clint Capella, because he had to go through an entire series of guarding Joel Embiid, and now he has to deal with Giannis. So, shout out to Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta for a great series. Shout out to Nate McMillan. I don't know, a lot of people aren't giving him his kudos. I've seen it, but I feel like he deserves more. So that's why I have to shout out Nate McMillan.
A couple Raptors-related thoughts off that is is John Collins, a guy who a lot of people didn't think would be on Atlanta next season. And maybe things have changed based on everything, but he's had a really impressive playoffs for me because I just didn't think he could stay in games. I thought he would be more of a defensive liability, and he's looked like every part of a solid 4 defensively. Like he had times where Embiid got him on a switch, and he just held his own against Joel Embiid. And I mean, Atlanta's probably going to keep him at this point, but if I was a team like the Raptors, I would go hard after someone like John Collins. And then the other thing is Siakam, is that like this playoffs has also shown that there's a lot of guys on max deals in the NBA who are worse playoff players than Siakam. And I had friends who were shitting on Siakam all season and then messaged me and said, you know what? I take Siakam over Simmons. And like, yeah, you should take Siakam over Simmons.
Like we've been saying that. That's something
it's just like a little distance puts things in perspective, right? And like with Siakam, everyone was killing him during the season. And now that we got to see some other guys on max contracts just look really overwhelmed in playoff settings, not even as the number 1 option, it just makes Siakam look a little bit better in hindsight.
Man, oh man. The Siakam slander it was hilarious though, like watching the entire season. Philadelphia 76ers fans, it wasn't even that they were saying they would take Ben over Pascal. It was more or less, and this was from Raptors fans as well, it was more or less them laughing at the proposal of Pascal and Ben. It was ridiculous. And I would never, even before this playoffs, I wouldn't have done it. I feel like Ben just presents, again, an elite defender, all NBA first team defender. Let's not take that away from him. But a guy that presents issues when you get to the playoffs, and you have to almost craft a perfect team around him to get there. Because Philadelphia has a damn good team as they stand, but it's just I don't know.
I've been out on Ben for years. It's just like Joel's always clearly been the best player on that team, and they never fit together. And I just thought they should have gotten off him for years, because you can't really have 2 non-shooters on the floor at the same time in a lot of situations. So, and then on top of that, he passed up a dunk, right? It's not like he just has problems shooting the ball. He has confidence issues. Like, it's plain. I don't like to talk about this stuff, but it's pretty obvious when you pass up a dunk in 2 minutes left in game 7 that not everything is right with you. But just for the audience, the draft lottery is going to start in 3 minutes. We can't play audio of it, so hopefully you can get your own stream going on the side. But we'll just kind of announce the picks as they come, and then we'll wait until the range.
I wish we could have this playing on the side, but YouTube doesn't allow that. Fortunately, if you guys have ever watched the live stream, you probably know that by now. We'll get our account taken down faster than you can finish the alphabet. So, we're going to announce the picks. It's going to be fun. Again, hopefully that number 10 pick doesn't get to us, right? Hopefully we can get that top 4 pick. I already see some people saying Cade in the comments. Let's, again, temper our expectations.
And then also, so the audience just knows what the format will be, we're going to have Will Liu hop on shortly to kind of watch the results with us. And then after the show ends around 9 o'clock, once the Raptors know where they're picking, we're going to have some great guests from Raptors Republic come on. And I think we'll just be talking about like who each person likes in the range that the Raptors end up getting, which kind of prospects they like there. Unless it's just one, and then we all kind of know who, and then I don't know what we talk about. We just celebrate. But yeah, we'll have some guests ongoing, starting at 9 and just continuing until we get too tired or too depressed. If we move down, then
absolutely,
yeah.
So they already have people commenting that this is on multiple. Like if you have a working television, you should be able to watch this. A working laptop.
Yeah, I think it's on TSN.
Yeah, I saw it on TSN as well. Someone commented that it's on TSN. Do whatever you can to watch the NBA Draft Lottery. I'm not going to promote, illegal streaming or anything like that.
But it's in the comments. If you
yeah, just look at the comments and enjoy. What else? Oh, man, I haven't seen you in so long. I feel like I'm just trying to recap on everything that's happened basketball-wise. Kemba Walker got traded to OKC.
Oh, yeah. How'd you feel about that trade for Boston?
Sam Presti's a weirdo, man.
Standpoint.
Like that guy, he's not first of all, he's not keeping Kemba Walker.
No.
I doubt he is. But I get it, like you're trying to stockpile the picks and all this, and he's essentially gearing up for an eventual superstar that he wants to trade for. But it's just weird. Like it's almost like they've become the dumpster of the NBA where every team that needs to shed a contract just throws it at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they pair it with a first-round draft pick. I mean, that's what it took. Boston Celtics. I think that was Brad Stevens' first move as the Boston Celtics GM. What's his name? Like, what is his moniker? Is it the GM or is he the president of basketball operations?
Yeah, he's the president.
He's the president. Okay. So essentially the exact same role and name, at least, as Masai Ujiri. Speaking of Masai Ujiri, because I saw some people, that was one of the first comments we were getting. First live comments. What do you think about Masai Ujiri? He hasn't re-signed. I'm sad, to be quite honest. I've seen some people bringing along some ugly, nasty, negative sentiment that he's gonna go here and there. And I've seen Mavs fans who just lost their GM and Donnie Nelson.
I just saw a report that the Mavs are not gonna pursue him.
Okay. Because
don't worry, man. Don't worry.
You could almost argue Ujiri is like the most important piece of this entire franchise. As much as we talk about players and Nick Nurse and the coaching staff around Nick Nurse, Masai Ujiri he's the head honcho.
I think he was, and I think he's established such a culture now that they're going to be fine without him. They might not be they might not have the same kind of upside in culture. It would definitely be a step back, but I think it's been so many years of Masai now that they have like a pretty good culture regardless. And like, I don't think Masai is leaving for another team. I've said this for a long time. Like I could see him leave to go be the commissioner of the BAL, the Basketball Africa League. That I could definitely see. But if he left, I just don't see the upside in him leaving for another city when Toronto is just, he loves it by all accounts, and it's a really good team, and he's grown it, and it's his baby and all that. So yeah, but it is a little worrying that he hasn't signed yet, and now the draft lottery, and now maybe they're just like thinking, okay, maybe the Raptors will get a good pick, and then it'll be easier on the fan base, if Masai leaves. But let's think good thoughts. We're starting here. We're looking at Rachel Nichols' orange hair right now. Fred Van Vliet's in the house.
Oh man, please tell me you brought the kids.
The kids better be running around that room.
This isn't playing for me yet, but I'm just hoping the kids are there. That's all I'm hoping for.
Man, I'm starting to get nervous now. Now it's starting.
You got Adrian Wojnarowski there, of course. Who, by the way, completely stepped over. He did the Allen Iverson step over Tyronn Lue on Shams when Shams reported earlier today that Chris Paul committed to Team USA, and then Adrian kind of rebuffed that report from Shams and was like, no. Chris Paul is not going to commit to Team USA. I love when that happens because I feel like those two are like the tip top of the pyramid in terms of NBA reporting.
They definitely hate each other. There's no way they don't hate each other. Like,
I love it.
Oh, you know what I hate also? And can we not do this in the comments? And can no one do this? Because the Shams is probably going to be announcing the fucking results. Actually, can he with this stuff? Because you know how on draft night he'll be like, Oklahoma City is selecting like 2 minutes before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope he doesn't do that because it just ruins the broadcast. And,
I remember for any of the football fans out there, NFL fans, they actually created a rule where, reporters couldn't do that. So what they started doing, and I'm pretty sure what Wojnarowski's been doing as well the last few drafts, is they go, for example, well, the Toronto Raptors are keying in on point guard Cade Cunningham, so he won't say that they're drafting him. Yeah, he'll be like, all signs lead to, right? And then I think that kind of is the loophole.
I think this is different though because this is live. They're showing the cards, whereas on lottery night, it's like he gets a text from someone on the team. It's like, yeah, we're gonna pick this person. So I don't know if he's actually able to do that today. Hopefully not, because I'd rather just see it live and not have it ruined like in the comments. So yeah.
Good news. We have William Liu is currently on the way. If you guys are familiar with William Liu, he is from Yahoo Canada Sports, one of the
formerly more prominent Raptors Republic.
Yeah, formerly of Raptors Republic, one of the more prominent Raptors reporters out there. Has a great podcast going. He's going to join us in just a second. Comments. Let's respond to some comments. I feel like we've kind of been ignoring some people. We're seeing a lot of what's the stream? I'm just going to pretend like I don't see any of this. So I'm just going to scroll all the way up.
Don't worry. We'll be announcing the picks too as they come. So
yeah, we got some people.
If you don't have a stream, you'll be okay. All you're going to see is like Mark Tatum's head, and you're not missing out on too much, except Anthony Edwards being interviewed right now, and I can't hear it. Oh, we got 12 minutes. So
that's good.
If you guys have anything you want to talk about for the next 12 minutes, any questions, let us know.
Gosh, you
let us know in the comments.
You guys don't I'm sorry, guys, for these like awkward silences or whatever you may take them as, but it's really just my anxiety just taking over my body as why is that your name? What? Will. This guy, Will, is hilarious. Well, we do have William Liu connected to us. He's going to join us in some seconds here. I'm going to wait till he's ready. He needs to give me a thumbs up when he's ready. And I'll get him in here. Okay.
He's ready. All right.
What's going on?
Okay. So first of all, this is what we're going to do. Before I even introduce you, right? Okay. Why is your name Asian Lou Williams?
I wanted to increase the Somali representation on this episode, and so I'm here. All right, I know it's obviously a big matchup for you, Lou versus Chris in for winner of the East. So, you're winning either way. So I'm just personally happy for you, man. I want you to soak in this moment. It's rare, but enjoy it.
We already got some people commenting on how you look. Someone said William Liu got a haircut, so they're excited for you. This is William Liu, guys. We want to introduce him. Obviously, he's been on here before on the wrap up. He is the lead Raptors reporter of Yahoo Canada Sports. William's going to join us for 10-ish, 15-ish minutes. He does have the NBA draft lottery to report on himself, so he can't stay here the long while. But Will, I'm going to straight up ask you. I hope that introduction, by the way, was good enough.
That was okay.
We also mentioned your slander podcast that you had with Assad. But what I wanted to ask you was, should Raptors fans be anxious in the fact that Masai Ujiri's contract has not been settled yet?
Absolutely. What do you mean?
Yeah, it feels like, doesn't it feel like they're just waiting for the Raptors to move up in the draft and then be like, well, now that you're happy, here's this news.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's honestly, Will, the only reason I asked that is because we're getting nonstop restlessness in these comments. I wanted you to just deliver some calmness to this stream.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you're familiar with what I do. No, no. I mean, look, listen. What made me feel better was I was reading Michael Grange's piece earlier today that he put out on the lottery and the Masai situation. He's been very plugged in on this front. He's been reporting steadily, and some of the insight he's given is that kind of nothing has changed, which obviously that could mean some sort of anxiety for a lot of people. But in terms of the back front, he's working as if he's still with the team. Obviously, he's leading a lot of these draft preps, as you can imagine. That's probably what the bulk of the front office's attention is focused on, is the draft, and we'll see what happens after tonight. Good luck, Fred. But yeah, like, he's still working, I guess, and so that is reassuring to me. It's not like, Bobby's been leading these, rooms, or someone else has been leading these rooms. Like, it seems like Masai is still in the picture, which, if he's going to lead to another team, it feels very odd to have Masai in the room with all the knowledge possible of what the Raptors are going to do before he dips. Plus, on the flip side, most of these teams out there already, in terms of their front offices, are trying to figure out what their strategies are, what they're trying to do. And if they are going to do that, they should probably have Masai in place already. So the time is running off the clock here. And like, I do feel, a sense of stress every morning that Masai has not, committed to re-signing.
Not just you,
for life. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? This would hurt other NBA teams that he'd be looking to sign with, for example.
Yeah.
So it sucks, man. Listen, only the Raptors can ever have free agency with an executive. I've never heard this with any other team except the Raptors. Bro. It's not even enough that we lose like Vince or like Chris or like Kawhi or all this other stuff. We gotta, or Tracy. We gotta have front office free agency, bro. No one's ever heard of that before in my life. So
it's ridiculous.
But
it's ridiculous.
That shows how blessed we've been with him. We just got like the most personable, amazing, smart, like role model executive, and now it's like, God damn it! Don't leave us. Don't do this again to us. But how you feeling just about the Raptors' chances in general? How's your confidence level right now?
What do you mean? Like for the lottery itself?
Oh yeah, for the lottery. Yeah,
for the lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds are what they are, right? So like, I'm 7.5% confident they get the first overall pick, and 32% confident in the top four.
This guy's so political. Oh
no. What I'm saying is, it is what it is. Like, what can we do? We can't really control it, right? When you buy a lottery ticket or whatever, like, I don't feel confident in the lottery ticket. I just know that it might pay off for something, which I don't even do. So like, we'll see what happens, man. But like, I think either way, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, I would prefer them to win the number one pick and get Cade Cunningham. That's great. But having done a lot more draft prep, like leading up to the, this moment, and of course, like the coming month when we're pretty much only going to be focused on the draft, like there's a lot of good prospects in that range, maybe not like superstar level prospects, but guys that can help the Raptors. And, like I think the team needs talent, and no matter what happens tonight, the Raptors are going to be able to have an opportunity to add talent to the team. So it's,
Will, before I ask you your personal preference on what you would want in a hypothetical top 3 pick scenario, no one really talks about what the aftermath is going to be if the Raptors draft a point guard like Jalen Suggs or Cade Cunningham, and what that's going to mean for Kyle Lowry's free agency. In the hypothetical scenario that the Raptors draft either Jalen Suggs, right, point guard, or Cade Cunningham, do you think that has an effect on the Kyle Lowry free agency decision? And if so, what do you think that effect will be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good question. And I think most likely it will push Kyle even more out the door in terms of from the Raptors front office perspective. I mean, I think we would be clear here that the Raptors were willing to trade Kyle. They were probably looking to trade Kyle at the trade deadline. So like, it's not like some sort of huge admission or anything like that they might be looking to move on. Of course, they have Malachi in the backcourt as well. They gave him a lot of run. Clearly, they have some plans for him. And of course, they re-signed Fred, and he's going to be the starting point guard for the foreseeable future. So like, if they add another guard into the mix, especially another lead playmaker, it doesn't necessarily rule out Kyle. But like, I think like, for example, you're already going to fill your 4-man rotation with 4 guards immediately. I think with Cade, that one of the advantages that he's bigger, right, being at 6'8", so like you could play him in other positions. But at the same time, even the starting 5, it's already pretty cramped, and that's like even if Kyle moves on, but then you re-sign Gary, like, and you add another guard, like you're already getting to a situation where you have too many sort of people involved. So we'll see what happens, man. But the Raptors could also use that pick and get a big, and maybe we have a totally different conversation.
I totally forgot about Gary Trent Jr. But
I did too.
I honestly,
it's not a good thing for Gary then.
That's not good.
Great. But no, I actually kind of see it differently. I saw it as if the Raptors land a top 4 pick, the way that this draft is set up is that kind of the top 4, yes, it's guard heavy, but those are the guys who are going to come and make a difference right away, right? They're going to contribute to a winning team right away, most likely. And I saw it as more so if the Raptors get a top 4 pick, even if it is a guard like Suggs or Cade, I actually think Kyle's chances of coming back are a little higher because it just means that they can compete a little sooner. Whereas if they get the 8th pick and they draft Scottie Barnes, like that's a high upside pick, but he's not going to contribute probably to winning for a little while. So I do get the guard, like that could be a problem. Like one of Fred, Cade, or Kyle would have to come off the bench, and I just don't know if you can sell any of them on it.
Crazy.
So that in that respect, I get what you're saying, but there is also a point to be said that if they get a top 4 pick, maybe Kyle is a little more attracted to Toronto in that sense, where it's like, they could be a little better next year, and I don't have to carry their asses every game, I
mean, first off, listen, the money will be attracting, I think, more than anything else. I don't know if getting a number 1 pick specifically is, especially because I think the nature of this draft is it's not the kind of draft where the number 1 pick is so obvious. Like LeBron's in the draft, and it's like, okay, all right, I'll probably stick around and play with LeBron, or
right.
Even like a Zion or like Blake Griffin, guys who are immediately are okay, that guy's gonna walk into the league and put up 2010 just based on his physicality alone. Forget all the other stuff. I don't fully see that person. Even in the top 4, for example, right? We could take Kuminga or Green. Those guys are projected let's say consensus top 5. I don't know. I guess Kuminga's slipping, but those guys in the G League. Have you people looked into this G League numbers? I'm not even kidding you. Jalen Harris put up better numbers than those guys, and that's not saying that those guys are worse than Jalen Harris. What I'm trying to say is we got to temper expectations for any incoming rookies contributing in that high of a level. I think with Cade, it's probably a bit of a difference, especially because he fits so many needs what the Raptors have. But for the other guys, it's I doubt Kyle looks at the situation and says, okay, well, we're able to get the 3rd overall pick, and we have Evan Mobley. This is gonna change our lot. This is gonna change it for me. I think Kyle's still looking for a good situation where he's gonna have paid really well on a team that's not gonna trade him over the course of his life of his contract, so he can stay with his family. And be in a competitive environment.
But that's a good point.
Be Toronto, though, so
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point that Oren made. I never really thought of that. If the Raptors do get the number 1 pick, the obvious pick would be Cade Cunningham, but then you would almost have to get rid of Kyle, I think, because again, it would almost be asinine to tell Cade Cunningham as the number 1 pick you're going to be coming off the bench. I don't think you're benching Fred VanVleet either. You just paid him $20+ million a year for 4 years. So
he's at the draft right now. You know how disgusting it will be.
Right?
He's at the draft right now, getting the pick, celebrating,
They
and
draft
then
Cade. They draft Cade. You're like, congrats, you're the 6th man now. No.
You like Florida? Here's Orlando.
I feel like all of the Raptors. I don't know. I'm not going to use the word, but I feel like all of the Raptors' second-hand players just end up in Orlando somehow, some way. It just is what it is. I'm not going to talk about. No, I'm not going to go there. I was about to say executives, but let's not go there as well.
Will, since we have you on, you said you've been doing some more draft prep this year than last year.
Yeah.
Who are some guys after the top 4 that you like for the Raptors specifically?
For the Raptors specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm higher on. I feel like I'm higher on Scottie Barnes than I think maybe other people are in terms of the fit. I think most people agree that he's a guy that's going to be contributing at a very high level, and I think that you look at his physical measurements. For example, today they released the measurements of the combine. He has pretty much the exact same measurements as OG Anunoby. All right, in terms of just the wingspan, in terms of the length, in terms of the athleticism, and everything like that. So that on that front, people are very excited. But I think for me, it's just like he makes a lot of sense. Like I could see how his athleticism will play in and what his role will be at the next level. So, yeah, that's for me. And honestly, Josh Giddey seems like a guy who probably would fit a lot of what the Raptors need. I know, again, another name that's not super sexy, but it's there. So the 14th pick, by the way, Mark Tatum has given OKC, or not OKC, Golden State Warriors, the 14th
Golden
pick,
State.
Oh, you're
He
ahead
started.
of me.
Here
You
we
must be
go.
on real cable right now.
No, I mean, I got internet streams. I don't know about you. But anyway,
I
I probably
do
got
too.
I probably got to hop off at this point. So
Yeah,
Alright,
you gotta
guys
go. You gotta go. I was about to say, as soon as
thanks
this
for
starts,
coming
you gotta
on.
go. Thank you for coming on, Will. Appreciate you.
all right, see you guys.
Appreciate it. See you.
Take care. That,
Alright.
guys, was William Liu from
I'm a little
Sports
behind.
Canada.
I don't know where you are, Sahal, but I got Mark Tatum. Yeah, now he gave the 14th pick to the Golden
Oh my
State
God, he's going
Warriors.
fast. He's going fast.
Where are
Whoa,
you?
whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay. Here.
I'm almost at 11. Oh my God, at 11.
Wait, what? Okay, can you start counting down, guys?
Okay, so 14 is Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
13 is the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
12 is the San Antonio Spurs. He's going so fast.
Oh my God. Magic are at 8, so that means the Raptors haven't been picked yet. Please not 7.
Oh my gosh. Please not 7.
No, we got 7. Uh-oh. I think we got 7.
Please not 7. Please, 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 please.
Wait, we didn't get 7. Someone said yes.
I think they're ahead of us. The Kings got 9. The Magic got 8. Pelicans is 10.
Top 4. We're top 4. Everyone said we're
Oh my goodness. The Raptors got top 4.
Shut up. Where are you at, Sahal, right now?
Okay, he just announced 7, which is the Golden State Warriors for
Let's
me.
go.
Oh
Remember
my
what
goodness.
I said, guys. Don't complain if we get 4 or 3. Don't complain.
Unbelievable.
They rigged it for us. Let's go.
Fred has the stalest face on too. He's just like,
Okay, so
Oh
did
my
the
gosh.
broadcast pause after 7?
nope. He just announced OKC is at 6. Nazir Muhammad, the
Keep
GM of the
announcing,
Oklahoma
please.
City
Keep
Blues there.
announcing
Yeah.
every pick because I'm
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Oh
OKC
man, I'm
was number
nervous.
6, guys.
Okay, 6.
Did I just freeze? Oh my God, Mark Tatum. He's opening another one.
I can't
Number
believe
5
it.
can't be us either. Number 5 is Orlando. So Orlando has the 5th overall
Look at
pick
Fred.
in
He's
the,
so salty.
in the 2021 draft.
He doesn't give a
Orlando
shit.
has number 5 and number 8.
Okay, Fred's literally like,
Raptors
I don't
are
want
in the
another
top
guard.
4. Guys,
I
my
don't-
heart is beating so fast.
I'm not even going on. Oh yeah, this guy said 7 and freaked out. I was like, that means we got 7, but he
My
messed
heart.
up. He messed up. Thank you for messing up.
I'm actually not exaggerating when I say my heart is beating.
Oh, I
incredibly
think it's
fast
gonna
right now.
take a break in between 5.
Ooh.
Oh, so yeah. So okay, so 5 is Orlando. Top 4 picks to order to be revealed, and it says Cleveland and Toronto are definitely in the top 4. Fred doesn't give a crap. From everyone's probably ahead of me. But
my
from
God.
where I am, Fred gave a smile. Kobe Altman. Yo, the Cavs do not deserve another 1 pick. They've gotten so many number 1
Guys.
overall picks in the past few years. It's literally like
If anyone that I know
everyone's
personally,
ruining it for me. Everyone's ruining it for me.
yeah, guys, let's try not ruining it if you're watching it on cable. But if you do, I mean, we can't really stop you. If anyone who knows me personally is watching the stream,
Oh,
if
it's
I
a commercial break.
if I end up passing out because we get the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick, just call the necessary.
I know I said
Can't even
I know
talk.
I know I said I know I said we should be happy no matter what, but to me the top 2 is like definitely a tier on its own. So if Adam could just get us one of those 2, that would be very appreciated. The top 2,
Mark Tatum.
I mean, the top 2 is just like those 2 players I think are legitimate difference makers right away, Mobley and Cade. So but I'm gonna be happy anyway. Don't get me wrong. But
NBA draft
I'll
lottery's
freak
trending,
out.
obviously,
I'll
on
freak
Twitter.
out.
So let me go over this one more time, Oren, real quick. From 14 to 5, the picks are number 14 went to Golden State Warriors. Number 13 was the Indiana Pacers. Number 12 was the San Antonio Spurs. Whew, my heart. Okay, relax. Okay, relax, Sahal.
But if we get number
where
1,
was I?
it's all over. It's over
Number
for the
12.
league.
Number 12 was the San Antonio Spurs. Number 11 was the Charlotte Hornets. Number 10 was the New Orleans Pelicans. Number 9 was the Sacramento Kings. Oh my God, the Kings have had how many years in the lottery? Number 8 was the Orlando Magic. They have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. Chicago's.
Yeah. Number 7 was the Golden State Warriors. So Golden State has number 7 and 14. Number 6 was OKC. Thank God they didn't get a top 4 pick. I don't know if they could still get one because they have like a million picks. I'm not 100% sure. And number 5 was Orlando. So Orlando has 5-8. Golden State has 7-14. And my heart hasn't stopped beating at a rapid rate.
I got a quicker stream, or it's ahead a little bit. Now I'm during. They're eating chicken wings in a commercial.
Guys, we did it. We did it.
We
like,
did what we needed
this
to
is,
do. We did what we needed to do.
We did it. Top 4 is ours. I don't care if we get number 4.
Watch Masai just not go with the consensus and just like pick like Scottie Barnes 4th. I could see it for sure. I would not be shocked. Zarar, give us a thumbs up if you want to come on the show.
Goodness. Zarar. Nope. He's like, I'm okay. I'm good. Wow. I'm totally I didn't expect us to get a top 4 pick. And I know the percentage to get a top 4 was pretty high. I don't remember what it was at. Oren, was it like 30% for us to get a top 4 pick? 30. 1 in 3 chance.
It's really, like you just look at the season the Raptors had and you're just like, you just think like good things aren't meant for us, right? So that's why I think we were skeptical. I was skeptical for sure too.
Raptors fans, if you're watching this, we deserve this after the season we just went through. Most people would call us spoiled because we have won a lot in the last decade, but this season was spawned from hell. Whether you believe in a hell or not, it was spawned from hell. And I'm excited. I'm happy. We have a top 4 pick. I'm expecting number 4, by the way, guys. I'm expecting number 4. No, I will. I'm expecting number 4 because I don't want to get my expectations crazy. Because if I expect 1 and Cade Cunningham.
And you know what dessert for this dinner is? Dessert is Devin Booker. Like, what a nice evening we have in store. Dessert is Devin Booker against Paul George. But if we get Cade, I'm just going to say real quick, if we do get Cade Cunningham, relegate the Sixers.
Yeah, just relegate them
completely. You have to relegate the Sixers.
At this point, if the Raptors keep their top 4 pick, they are guaranteed Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Kuminga, Evan Mobley. Oh my goodness.
Where is your stream right now?
I appreciate it.
Is DeAndre Ayton talking right now in your stream?
Let's see. I just went back to it. Yeah, he is talking. He's talking to the sideline reporter.
I'm like, why are they in Phoenix right now? But okay.
Yeah, I totally forgot that the Phoenix game was on tonight.
Oh, so
Phoenix up 1-0 versus the Clippers.
Oh, so the Rockets, just real quick, we don't care about the Rockets that much. This is a Raptor show, but the Rockets moved into the top 4. They had basically a 50% chance at losing their pick completely and 50% chance at getting top 4. But they moved in, so good for them. And OKC's out, which is great because they're hoarding picks and they're being ugly tankers. Okay, here's Mark Tatum. The Raptors at 4. The Raptors at 4. The Raptors at 4. The Raptors at 4.
You're in front of me.
You know what?
You're in front of me.
That's nice, though. You can't complain about that.
You're in front of me.
Cleveland is at 3.
The Pistons and the
Rockets
get the top 2 picks. Okay. See who gets Cade Cunningham.
Rockets got 2, and Detroit
Pistons got him.
Pick.
Oh my! Wait, I gotta quickly check on my boy.
Good for Dwayne Casey, man.
And my cousin, not my cousin, my nephew as well is a massive Detroit Pistons fan. He's been talking about Cade Cunningham all year.
Oh. So the other
do you guys really feel like that? It's my fault? Okay, I'll take it. It's all right. Top 4 though, guys. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it too. And real quick, we're gonna definitely debate the greens right now, but interesting thing about Cleveland getting 3 is that they have 2 point guards, right? So Cleveland's picking at 3. If the greens are available, I guess you assume they go with Jalen Green, right? Just because they already have 2 point guards. Sorry, if the Jalens are available, they probably go with Green over Suggs, just because I don't know if they'll bring a 3rd point guard into the mix over there.
Were you talking about the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah. No, sorry. The Cleveland Cavaliers have 3.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. I was about to say, whoa.
So assuming Cade and Mobley are off the board at that point, and guys could slip for sure, right? Mobley could slip. It's possible, but I would bet on the Raptors, either having their pick of the Jalen's or I would guess the Cavs would take Jalen Green and leave the Raptors with Suggs, which you have to be happy with that.
Extremely happy. Let's not get, again, guys, the expectations were tempered. We got a top 4 pick, mission accomplished. We sat here from 8 to 8:30 hoping and praying for a top 4 pick. We got it. My heart has slowed down finally. The Cavs, I don't think, are going to get Mobley. Christian Burton
so
here
who's
agrees with
picking
me.
two?
Because
Houston. Oh wow, and Houston has what's his name at
Kevin
center?
Porter?
No,
sorry.
no.
At center. Houston has. Does Houston even employ a center? I know they had
they have a really good center. Someone drop his name. Christian Wood.
Oh, Christian Wood. How did we forget Christian Wood?
Yeah, I don't know if Christian Wood is the type of guy you build your team around. Like, they could probably go for Mobley or Jalen Green. I think could definitely go too. But yeah, they do have a really good center, so I'd kind of be surprised if they picked Mobley. And then Cleveland has,
Jared Allen.
Cleveland has Jared Allen.
That's what I'm saying. So
what
there's
if
a
Mobley
chance.
slides?
Exactly. There's a chance. Don't do this to me. Oren, do not do this to me. If Cleveland has Jared Allen, they're almost guaranteed to re-sign him to a long-term contract extension. Big money is coming Jared Allen's way. Houston has Christian Wood, and who knows? Houston might look at this like we can play Evan Mobley beside Christian Wood. I'm going to let the draft experts come out with their think pieces on why that would work or that wouldn't work. I'm not going to take it either way. I'm not a draft expert. I will say Evan Mobley is extremely moldable as a player, so I'm sure you can – I think you could throw him beside Christian Wood. Yeah. But it looks like Cade is almost guaranteed to become a Detroit Piston, and that's almost insane. That's the first – Has the Detroit Pistons had an all-star point? Have they had an all-star point guard since Chauncey Billups? I'm trying to think back. They had Reggie Jackson for a few years before that. Why am I forgetting the late 2000s Detroit Pistons era? Who was their point guard in that era? Someone in the comments let me know if you remember. I feel like that was a very forgettable time in the Detroit Pistons era. Before Reggie Jackson got there. I don't know if they've had an all-star point guard since Chauncey Billups. I don't think so. But regardless, they got Cade Cunningham. Let me see. I haven't even looked at Twitter yet to see some of what's going on. People are probably wondering how I'm not live tweeting when I was tweeting about the NBA draft lottery all day.
I have a point to make. Everyone was hand-wringing about the Raptors. Should they tank? Are they tanking too late? Why are they tanking? They should go for it. No, they should have tanked 10 years ago. Well, guess what? The front office is smarter than you. And they played it right. They got 32% odds at a top 4 pick, and they got a top 4 pick. So everyone who is hating everything about what the front office did this year, not only did they get to develop their young players in the last, 15 games of the season, starting Malachi Flynn, starting all these guys, they tanked enough to actually get into the top 4. They didn't do it too late. They didn't do it too early. They did it right on time. And now they're about to get a really good player, and they're going to be better for it. And life is good. Life is amazing.
I keep touching my eyes, guys. It's not because I'm crying. It's because my eyes are very irritated. But you can take it as I'm crying. I should be crying tears of happiness after the season the Raptors just went through. And now they've been officially awarded the 4th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. I was just quickly scrolling through Twitter. And a lot of people are happy for Dwayne Casey, man, and the Detroit Pistons. They went through a season where maybe the only consistent bright spot was Jeremy Grant. Their rookie point guard, Killian Hayes, was injured for a lot of the year. I retweeted that, by the way.
I know. Yeah. I'll just pull up some good tweets. I like this one too.
Dwayne Casey, man. Pound the rock. Cade Cunningham. So now, let's talk about some aftermath.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think people are going to start hopping on the show soon. I'm not exactly sure the order I sent out, but
as Oren's showing you the best tweets.
Oh, sorry.
Of the NBA draft lottery. The aftermath. So the Pistons, let's talk about the Pistons first, because naturally, guys, I know this is a Raptors live show, but let's talk about the Pistons first, because they did get the number 1 overall pick. They drafted Killian Hayes. I think it was 7, if I'm not mistaken. He is their quote unquote future, or they're hoping he can be their future franchise point guard. Cade Cunningham's a guy you can always play beside another point guard in a starting lineup. What do you think this does for the Detroit Pistons franchise? Do you see a massive turnaround? What do you see, Oren? Because I think, I'm not going to go and say, Detroit's making the playoffs next year or anything like that, but I don't know how many wins they had this year. Let me quickly check for you guys, but I know this season was bad. It was really bad for the Detroit Pistons. As I'm pulling up their schedule, their standings.
Well, I was listening to Cade Cunningham on JJ Redick's podcast.
Yeah.
And he did say that one of his goals for his rookie season is to make the playoffs. Now, Detroit doesn't have the worst roster in the world. Killian Hayes, if he's fully healthy and maybe he surprises us and has a real jump next year, and then they have Jeremy Grant. They have a decent team. I don't know if they'd make the playoffs, but the East is pretty bad. So I think he'll change their franchise, I think, right away. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Detroit fans are jumping in the air right now.
They are so happy.
I'm sure Houston fans are also really happy. They had a chance to fall out of the lottery altogether, pretty much. And instead, they got the number 2 pick, and that's going to be probably either Jalen Green or Evan Mobley. Really good player.
That's going to be another fun storyline, by the way, following what Houston Rockets fans want to do with that second overall pick.
Yep.
I know some are going to want Evan Mobley and say slot him in right beside Christian Wood, and some are going to want Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Put him beside Kevin Porter Jr. and let's run. Let's run a really fun-looking offense.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still in shock, man.
I'm just surprised, or not surprised, but I think it's really interesting that the Cavs and the Rockets are 2-3, and they both have kind of franchise centers. It feels like that's the one position where that team can kind of be like, ooh, they could second guess taking a player. And smart front offices will go for upside. And I think Mobley, just my opinion, he's the safest player with also having a ton of upside. But yeah, Houston, really analytical front office.
Very much so.
Cleveland is all over the place, so I don't really know what to say with them. So we'll see. We have Kyle Brickman from Raptors Republic about to join the show. So, Kyle, welcome.
Hey guys.
How are you doing?
Can we get more energy in here? How are you guys not more excited?
To be honest,
dude,
we were.
I'm in a place where I'm sitting down right now. If I showed any more energy, my heart was beating super fast.
I celebrated when the 7th pick got announced, and it was top 4. That was when I got all of it out.
I was gonna bring a bottle of champagne or something as a bit, but I didn't want to ruin. I don't know what the terms of service are, and I didn't want to violate any terms.
We have no rules. Deleted. No, I'm joking.
No rules here. This
is huge. This is.
Go off.
This is a guaranteed. This is a guaranteed Jalen Suggs pick at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
I don't think Mobley slips to 4. He's just too good. People are talking about him as a number 1 potentially. He's in the running with Cade as the guy. But if you look at the order, the Cavs have Garland and Sexton. Unless they move on from one of those guys, they're not going to pick a guard.
Yeah.
There are 4 guys. We were talking about, there are 4 guys, and the Raptors are 4th. It's a massive win, and I think it basically is a guaranteed Jalen Suggs selection. I'm just happy because, Oren, you had me looking into Alperen Şengün, pick.
Yeah, I was scared we were going to have to talk about him. I know nothing about him, to be honest. But yeah, I think you're right, though. I think if I had to guess right now, Suggs would be the most likely guy. So why don't we talk about Jalen Suggs? I think the fit, I think what we talked about with Will Lou is relevant right now in terms of Kyle Lowry. Maybe not wanting to come back. But then on the other hand, with Suggs, you can say to Suggs, you're coming off the bench and you're the 6th man in your rookie year, and Kyle's starting, right? So I think there's a chance Kyle comes back, but it's probably reduced a little bit today after what happened. But what do you guys think about Suggs the player and Suggs the fit on the Raptors? You can go first, Kyle.
Yeah, I just think like the most important thing is like Suggs the man is like he's a tremendous like high character guy who's like a star quarterback in high school. You see, did he get kind of locked by Davion Mitchell in the championship final? Like maybe, but in general, the whole March Madness run, the kid's like 19, 20 years old and talking to like Corey Kispert who's 22, like talking to the bigs on his team, like he's the man. He was the guy. They when they drew the shot up for his game winner against UCLA, like that was him. He was commanded that sort of attention and like respect from his teammates at 19. I mean, he's the type of guy that walks into a room, and I think he probably has for his entire career, as like the alpha male number one guy. And
for sure.
I mean, that's the type of person you're looking for. The fit, I mean, we can wonder about the fit, but I think the most important thing, and I'm talking as if like the draft's already happened, but I think the most important thing is that he's like a high character guy. And I think what the Raptors have shown over the past, during Ujiri's tenure, is that's basically the most important thing they look for.
Yeah, for sure. High character, like you said, great leadership. He's super tough. Jalen Suggs, for me, his when you first watch him, you would think he's been in college for a very, very long time, just the way he moves around and the way he communicates with his teammates. He is incredible. I learned pretty late, that he was a football quarterback as well. This guy's an athlete. Like, people always mention Jalen Green, and for his size, Evan Mobley, and of course, Cade Cunningham when it comes to their athleticism. Kuminga as well is a pretty good athlete, but Jalen Suggs is he's not, some guy that has no athleticism to him, just some cerebral guy who's on the court, a good playmaker, a pretty good rebounding guard, a solid finisher at the rim. I would consider him an athlete. He has a great feel for me. I noticed this a lot in March Madness, that he has a great feel when he attacks the basket. And he's super decisive. Like, this is a guy that in transition almost always makes the right decision. I love Jalen Suggs for this team, if that's the hypothetical selection. Kyle's right. He's probably, in terms of all the draft guys out there, all the prospects out there, he's maybe the most high character guy. And that's not really diminishing any other player. That's just speaks volumes about Jalen Suggs, the player and the man as well. So I'm sure when they conduct player interviews of some sort, Jalen Suggs is going to be the guy that they go, wow, when they leave that room. I'm excited, and his fit is pretty damn good too. And I know a lot of people are concerned because Malachi Flynn was drafted last year. Maybe we talked about William Lou. Maybe that affects what they do with Kyle Lowry. I don't care, to be honest. Jalen Suggs has to, if he's on this team, sorry, Malachi, like his role gets diminished a bit. Jalen Suggs is a top 4 or 5 overall selection for a reason. He's a guy, by the way, Oren, before I let you go, he's a guy that it was him and Cade at one point. It wasn't, I know Evan Mobley started soaring near the end, but it was just him and Cade at one point or another. And I'm pretty sure at one point way back when, he was even number 1 on most people's draft boards. So Jalen Suggs is a great prospect. I'd be super excited with him for Toronto.
Yeah, I know Sam Vecini at The Athletic still has Jalen Suggs number 2 on his big board. It's an interesting fit. I think like over the past few days, I've kind of been leaning Jalen Green if I could have my pick of the Jalen's. And that's just because he's a player that the Raptors don't have, and he's like a burst guy who can get to the rim in the half court, get his own shot in the half court. But the thing about Suggs is that like he fits what the Raptors do so well. Like Nick Nurse, he likes his teams to play defense, and he likes his teams to run. And Jalen Suggs will immediately fit in that system, and he'll immediately be, Nick Nurse is going to like him right off the bat. And what you said about characters is a really good point. Like the Raptors have valued that. And when on top of the Raptors valuing that, when you look around the league at, players who have worked out and players who didn't, and yes, I'm going to slander Ben Simmons even more, is that like the guys who work out are just guys who really put in the work and like are willing to just like for every year put in the work and are smart enough to put in the work and know what work to put in and all that. And like Ben Simmons is a good example of a guy who you tell him he needs to improve this, and then he says, but I'm good at this. And it's like, yeah, you are good at that, but you're also bad at shooting. Anyways, enough Ben Simmons slander for now. But I mean, it's not a done deal, I think, for sure. But the other last point I have on this is that, like, Jalen Suggs is a pure point guard. So down the line, I think the ball will probably be in his hands the majority of the game if he's a Raptor. But Fred has worked on that skill so much to the point where he's become a very, very decent point guard, or good point guard, I think. So I think, like, in his first couple of years, Fred is going to have a lot of the ball, and it's just going to be a 2-point guard kind of offense. But what I think it does is it takes some of the creation load off Siakam. And what we just saw with Giannis is that Giannis's best role, and Siakam has always been Giannis light, but Giannis's best role is screening and rolling and a transition. It's not, here's the ball, go get us something. And I think Siakam is similar in the sense that, like, you ask him to take the ball in ISO, and, like, there's limited ceiling to that kind of offense, but you have 2 point guards with the ball, and Siakam, you find him in his spots, and he has a little bit less demand. I think that's a really good recipe for success.
No, for sure. We didn't even talk about the other guys in terms of, like, the Jalen Greens. A lot of people in the comments are mentioning how Jalen Green is their, their pick that they want in this upcoming draft. Do you guys see, I'll ask Kyle first, do you guys see a situation, a hypothetical scenario where Jalen Green falls to number 4?
I mean, sure. I honestly, I think that, like, with normally, like, during this draft process, like, you have your big board on the whatever the 22nd of June is, like, never what it ends up being a couple days before the draft. So I mean maybe Davion Mitchell will be a 4, whatever. But yeah, of course I think he could fall. I think him, like, I think Green, I think Kuminga could be an option at 4, although there's a lot of overlap skill set wise with Siakam. I think it also, I mean, Woj was announcing, like, sort of prior to the early part of the draft lottery that the 3 teams above are going to be really aggressive trying to trade out of those spots. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, the Cleveland could be looking for, like, a veteran player and flip it to any team. So it's really hard to shake out. But in terms of, like, Green's fit, I mean, he's a 2 guard. The Raptors have Gary Trent Jr. I mean, if that's not a long-term solution, that position, then I think Green makes perfect sense. But what I will say is that Green is a little too small to play the 3, and he doesn't have the creativity necessarily to play the 1. So there's a lot of overlap with a guy the Raptors just went out and picked up and looks to be re-signing or aiming to re-sign.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sure. Yeah, I don't like, and I've made this clear before. I love Jalen Green as a prospect. Right, I'm going to preface that because people are going to. I know there's a lot of Jalen Green fans.
I'm looking at Rabbit, and
I don't want to get. Yeah, it's like he's taking over the chat, so I don't want to, that army to come after me. So I'm going to preface it with saying Jalen Green, great player, great prospect, but for the Raptors specifically, I don't know if he's the best fit hypothetically beside a Fred VanVleet if Kyle Lowry leaves. And at this point, Kyle Lowry is, by the way, I've made this clear on multiple shows. He's one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player of all time. I think he's my favorite player of all time. It's really between him and Kyrie Irving. That's besides the point. If Kyle Lowry leaves, which I might be expecting at this point, I think you have to admit to yourself that Jalen Suggs, in terms of roster balance, is a better fit beside Fred VanVleet. I don't know, Oren, if you're going to disagree with me. If Jalen Suggs and Jalen Green are both there at number 4, Oren, what are you doing? Are you going with the fit, or are you going with this quote unquote ceiling?
Well, I agree with you guys. Suggs is a cleaner fit. And the thing about Gary Trent is that I'm not, like, I don't love him. Like, if they took Green and they signed and traded Trent, or even they lost him for nothing, like, I would be whatever. Like, to me, you don't draft based on Gary Trent Jr. But, like, it's such a tough call. But I will say, in terms of the Raptors front office, I'd be surprised if they took Jalen Green. He's just not the type of player they've targeted in recent years. But with that being said, because they haven't targeted a player like that in recent years, they don't have a really athletic, high bouncy, guy who can get to his spots, who can attack the rim in the half court.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're missing that type of player, they still don't have the traditional, star who you can go to at the end of games when it really bogs down and be like, here, go create. And I don't think Jalen Suggs is that player, and I don't know if he'll ever be that player, but like, you don't worry about that. You just create the best team you can create, and you worry about that in the future when they're closer to contention. But yeah, like, I don't know. The reason I had Green a little higher is just because, like, what I just said, I think the upside is a tiny bit higher in terms of maybe he could become that player one day, and that's the most valuable player in the NBA. And I don't know if Suggs can, but maybe Suggs can in the mold of like a Kyle Lowry or a Drew Holiday, like a guy who gets to those spots in different ways using his strength, his smarts, rather than his burst.
Yeah, we have a comment here, Oren, that disagrees, I think, a little bit with us when we said Suggs was a cleaner fit.
Yeah, I'll say to this, Fred can run point, but a Fred Green, OG Siakam foursome, that's not enough playmaking for me, because OG's not a playmaker, and Siakam is a good playmaker out of the post. He's becoming a better playmaker, but he's still not like, he's good.
He'd almost have to be Jokic level for that to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not enough playmaking.
Yeah, I see OG and Pascal as like, can they make like a really nice pass in the lane like a couple times a game where you go like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Like, yeah, but you can't run like your offense through Siakam the high post like you can like the Jokic. And I mean, Fred's a willing passer. I don't see him as like an offensive initiator in the same way. And I think in many ways the Raptors really lack that this season, especially when Lowry didn't play. In fact, I mean, Lowry, whatever his game right before the trade deadline, he like came in, dropped like 20 assists, and then walked off the floor and like gave the peace sign, right? I mean, like he's really like he's like a different, he's like a different breed than anything the Raptors have had really this season. And you need a guy who can like really create for your team.
Yeah. Kyle, thanks so much for joining us. We have another guest in the queue, but do you have any last thoughts real quick? Just want to get off your happiness. Really. Follow Kyle on the tweets.
Yeah, just celebrate. I think all the Raptors fans should just be happy. I mean, this is an incredibly unrealistic scenario that came true, and like, yeah, just celebrate. Let's party tonight. I don't know if it's not really, don't go out. Stay inside.
No, you can go to patios. You can go to patios.
You can go to patios. He's right.
Yeah, so go to your patio.
Go to patios.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you, Kyle Brickman, for joining us from Raptors Republic. We appreciate him so much. We appreciated our guest before that, William Liu from Yahoo Canada Sports, or Yahoo Sports Canada. I mean, it's the same thing. Yahoo Canada Sports, Yahoo Sports Canada. Our next guest is none other, one of my favorites from Raptors Republic. Not to say Kyle's not my favorite, but me and this guy, we have some elite chemistry on in the Twitterverse, at least. Matt Shantz is here to join us. Matt,
what's up?
He's joining us from outside. My guy.
Let's do this. Oren's drinking from a jar. We've got a party going.
I know. I want to pour myself a drink right now. Like, I can't take this.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited, Matt. First of all, before we even get into,
I might have to dip at any point. My kid's not going down easy, so we'll see what happens. But let's go.
No worries. How are you feeling?
No.
I am having a party. This is amazing.
That's amazing. I love that.
There's no complaints.
Life is amazing. Life is amazing. We already have Kyle. Right immediately as he leaves us, he joins the comments. And he says, Matt's taking my instructions and joining from a patio. Matt, the weather looks good behind you.
It's
I know we've all been praying. It is. It looks beautiful. Oh, my goodness. See, if we're talking about views, myself and Oren are nowhere near that. That looks great. First of all, congratulations on the child. I know it's been a little while, but I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, I wanted to ask you your quick thoughts on the Raptors receiving the number 4 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. What are your thoughts? And who are some guys that you're looking at for number 4? Who's probably your favorite player, you would say?
Yeah, so my first thought was I actually came back to a recent Blake Murphy article in which he talked about anticipation as it goes number by number, and suddenly you've moved up, everything's great, and then you haven't gotten one and you're crushed and devastated.
Yes.
I think that was everybody's immediate response, just like, oh, we were this close to Cade or this close to Mobley. In reality, this is a gift. This is huge. The Raptors don't belong in the lottery. They are a better team than this. They were forced to move to Tampa. They got massive influx of COVID right when they were turning the corner. They had to deal with Aaron Baines. So things just did well for them this year. And suddenly you have a draft where there's kind of 4 prospects that are tier 1, tier 1B, and you're at 4. That's a huge gift. So I think we take this, we run laughing, and maybe hope that the teams ahead of us kind of screw up. So the wild card, though, is Cleveland. I think Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
Down.
For sure.
They're a team of guards and bigs who will have to choose between a guard and a big. So they're going to move down, try to get a wing, and we'll see who moves up. Maybe it's us. I don't know. Just
maybe. They did draft. No, go ahead.
Yeah, as for 4, the dream scenario is that Mobley somehow slides, Evan Mobley, center from USC. He would just be a dream fit. The switchability between him, Siakam, OG, Fred would just be a menace defensively. But my guess is that ahead of us go, obviously, Cade, Mobley, Jalen Green, leaving the Raptors with somebody like Jalen Suggs, or maybe a little bit off board, like we've got Scottie Barnes or Jonathan Kuminga. There's lots of good options.
There's so many good options at the top. Oren, first of all, what did you think about that view? Can we see it one more time, Matt? Because someone commented earlier.
Check this out.
That Matt needs.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness.
You got to jump in the ocean or whatever it is to celebrate, man. That's what I would be doing. That's the ultimate celebration.
Matt is living.
No, yeah, we were just talking about Jalen Suggs for a little bit and how that's probably the most likely guy to be at 4, no matter what happens above in the draft. Even if there is movement, it seems like Suggs will probably be there. But you talked a little bit about Mobley, and I agree with you that he would be the dream after Cade in terms of a rim protector. The Raptors really need a guy who can come in right away and be a defensive fulcrum, even if the offense is not as clear right away, but be a defensive fulcrum. And then the thing about Mobley is that on some teams, and we're talking about Mobley because, like we just said, Cleveland has a big and Houston has a big. But the thing about Mobley is that, like, people say he probably can't play exclusively at the 5 right away. Like, big bruising centers are going to put Mobley into the doghouse. But the Raptors have OG and Siakam, and so that just they already play center. Like, we just had a season of them starting at center. So the thing about Mobley that's so attractive is that, like, he could come and not even have to play center on the defensive end right away. I'm sure they run a lot of zone in that kind of lineup and just like get creative. And then offensively, as a rim protector, as a spacer, as a guy who can actually put the ball on the floor and get his own basket, I think Mobley is also the dream for me. My hair is going everywhere, but yeah.
Oh my goodness! If we get Mobley,
yeah, that would be insane. And I'm not trying to like stir up unrealistic hope for everybody, but we manifested moving up to the top 4. Like, this is
so why can't we ridiculous. Do this, Matt?
Next step. This is wild. It's very, very exciting. My guess is that we'll end up with Suggs or somebody like that. But Suggs and Fred also are a great pairing in the backcourt. Neither is the truest point guard. They're both beasts defensively. So we won't take anything off the table. And Suggs can kind of alleviate some of Fred's weaknesses and vice versa. So they would be a great partnership.
Yeah, I would love the Suggs fit as well. You almost can't go wrong, Matt and Oren. You can't go wrong with.
No, it's a 4-person draft. That's the beauty of getting the 4th pick.
You really can't go wrong.
No, and even if you do go slightly off board, like a lot of people are saying, it's a 5 or 6 person draft. So you've got Jonathan Kuminga's potential. He's young. There's a lot of kind of developmental holes for him right now, but the physical tools are just through the roof potential for an NBA team. And then I'm also really high on Scottie Barnes. I tweeted earlier today that I would consider him at 4. A lot of those prospects in the draft, you kind of have that equation of, if he could just do these like A, B, and C better, then he'd be, an all-star. That's all he needs to do. A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Well, that's 3 things. That's a lot of things that person has to work on. Whereas Barnes is switchable defensively. He can guard 1 through 4 easily, some 5s. He played point guard at FSU, so he's got great feel for the game. And his one question mark is shooting, which is something that the Raptors have prioritized as their kind of developmental specialty over the years. You look at their draft history, they've taken a lot of guys who have struggled shooting and said, we're going to teach you. You got Siakam, which inconsistent, but there's signs that it's coming. You've got OG making huge strides from when he was at Indiana. When Norm was here, he came in. That was one of his big question marks entering the draft. And all of these guys made big developmental leaps in that one area. And so maybe Scottie Barnes, if you believe you can take that one leap for him, well, he could be, everybody's looking for that next Draymond, but he's an inch taller than Draymond. He is a little bit lighter, I believe 10 pounds from that draft, but younger. There's still room for him to add weight to his frame. He is kind of a similar passer and defender. So, there's lots of good options, even if you go slightly outside the consensus top 4.
Yep. And then there's even a possibility of trading back if that's your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
Matt, I was
really
going to
likes
ask
Suggs
you.
at 4.
Yeah.
Did we lose him? No, we still got a Matt.
No,
I was going to ask you really quickly, is there a situation where you possibly see a Raptors draft pick taking us out of the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes completely? Do you think a point guard like Jalen Suggs would do that?
No. The one that could have made that choice difficult would have been Cade. If you draft Cade, you want the ball in his hands day one. That's not the case now. So at this point, if anything, Suggs would maybe change your trajectory a little bit on what you're willing to pay Gary Trent Jr. So if you're looking to kind of bring 3 guards along and Kyle's willing to come back, or I don't know. So, but my guess is Kyle's likely moving on. It's sad to say, but he's an icon. He's done everything for this franchise, the best player we've ever had. And I think that it's going to be an amicable, beautiful transition.
Yeah, I think even with Cade, I don't know. I'm not as sold on Lowry leaving. I think even with Cade, Lowry has shown this year that he's willing to give the ball up. Like Fred just became a point guard this year, and Kyle just became basically a 2 guard in a lot of ways. Kyle had the ball in his hands less than he ever has. So I think he's willing to do a lot for the development of this team. So that bodes well in terms of maybe he's willing to, foster these young guys as he's comfortable in Toronto. They're going to be better next year, and it'll depend what other teams offer him, of course, and what the Raptors offer him. But I don't think it definitely takes them out of the Kyle sweepstakes personally. But it is a little bit more complicated in the sense that, like, Malachi Flynn, if Kyle comes back, Malachi Flynn is probably, I don't know, in the G League or traded, right? Like something like that is happening. Yeah. But whatever.
Anyways, I got a bolt. Thanks for having me on,
Matt.
Guys. And,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Wow, the view of the night by far came from Matt Shantz. Matt,
now I want to swim. Like swimming is such a good
goodness.
celebratory action. I was looking
back, Oren.
I need to find a pool now.
I thought this was a pretty good view.
It is.
I mean, I got Kyle Lowry in the back.
We got
Like,
a
you can
guest.
maybe you can erase that, the Tottenham jersey.
Yeah, erase it, throw it out. Yeah.
Wait, where is it? You can do that. You can do that. But yeah, I got the Kyle Lowry in the back. Hopefully that Kyle Lowry's sitting beside a Jalen Suggs in a few years, or an Evan Mobley.
We got another guest with a good view in his background.
Yes.
Though. It's not as naturalistic. It's more sports memorabilia. But Lukas Weese from Raptors Republic and elsewhere. Welcome to the show.
Fellas?
Oh my goodness!
What am I right? Play for what?
Absolutely.
Number 4, let's go.
Yeah,
this is the type of energy we needed. I love
the energy.
Lucas,
what are you doing to celebrate tonight?
Yeah.
What's going on? Wow.
What are you doing to celebrate tonight?
First of all,
take a shot.
There year, number 95. That's my addition to the memorabilia. I also got this thing here, which is like a "Let's Go Raptors."
Yep. I need one of those. Yep.
I also got just a bunch of other things, but this is the one right here, number 95. When you think of that moment when the franchise started, the championship, now this, man. I mean, how can you not be excited about the Toronto Raptors?
I love it. Lucas, everyone we brought on so far has told us who they would hypothetically prefer at number 4. The excitement is there. Mission accomplished. We got the top 4 pick. It wasn't number 1, but top 4 is pretty damn good. Who is your guy at number 4?
So if I'm the Raptors, I would go with Evan Mobley if he's available. I just think from what you guys, I've been listening to your great show, and to me, it's the size, right? And that's been that was the issue for the Raptors this season. And I just think, thank you, Chris Willis, by the way, appreciate it. Thanks for tuning into this great show that Oren and Sahal do. But yeah, I mean, from watching him at USC, he just has that natural size, natural athleticism. He can just fit in so nicely in that center role and just provide that physicality inside, which is what the Raptors really lacked last season. But I'm a big Jalen Suggs guy. And to me, like, when you look at what he did with Gonzaga, I know he didn't win the championship, but that buzzer beater shot just shows that character, right? Just shows that those intangibles, that he's just a gamer, that he's a winner, that he can, have the gusto to put that type of legendary shot in an NCAA tournament game. So it'll be very interesting. I think for the Raptors, regardless of who they select at number 4, I think it's going to make a huge difference for this franchise. Like the fact that, I think Oren, like they had like a 33% chance of getting a top 4 pick. They dialed in, they got that, and that's huge. I think whoever they select is going to make a difference. But if I'm the Raptors, I would go with Mobley.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas, I feel like our introduction didn't do you much justice. First of all, what I'd like to say is congrats on the blue check mark on Twitter. You are now, you've entered a different stratosphere on Twitter. Lucas writes in a bunch of places. He's written for the Toronto Star. He's written for USA Today, Complex, Sportsnet, Sports Illustrated, Golf.com, and The Undefeated, which is huge. I mean, all of those are really huge, but congrats on all of those bylines. The blue check mark is well worth it.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And again, I mean, Raptors Republic, I mean, it's a great platform. It's had a great pipeline of people going on to do some great things. So very blessed. But I hope what doesn't happen, I don't know if you guys remember back in 2020 with the blue check marks, there was a day where like every single blue check mark was like locked out of Twitter for like for an unforeseeable amount of time.
I remember that.
And then like all the blue check marks, like they just couldn't tweet. And it was just so funny for like the non-blue check marks to be like, hey, I mean, that's why you don't get verified. So now I'm one of those people. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I appreciate the kind words.
I hope it does happen. I hope it happens.
Okay, Oren.
Yeah, you guys with your blue check marks, you're too good for the rest of us. And I just think, Twitter would be a more everyman's place with them just for an hour or two, nothing crazy. But
until I get mine.
Yeah.
Until I get mine.
No. Okay, I have a question though. What do you guys think? is to both of you, but what do you guys think are realistic expectations for next season? Assuming the Raptors get one of the Jalen's or a Mobley. Let's go with one of the Jalen's. What are realistic expectations for next season?
So you go first.
I'll go first. I think considering that the Raptors looked incredibly good before everyone went down on COVID protocols, I think they were 4th in the East, if I'm not mistaken, guys. They looked great. They looked like a team that everyone expected them to look like. They were great in the 2019-20 season. Prior to that, they had what most would consider an underwhelming, I think, bubble performance. A lot of people felt like they could get away with beating the Boston Celtics, but then moving on to this season, they looked good. They were in that top 4. COVID hit, injuries hit, and everything just went down the drain from there. So I think it's pretty clear to say that talent-wise, you look at this Raptors team entering next season with a hypothetical Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley. I think even if they go outside the box, like Oren mentioned earlier, they could go outside the box completely. I mean, not a lot of people expected them to go Pascal Siakam when they drafted him. Not a lot of people expected. I think many people, you would say, expected Malachi Flynn, considering the fact that Kyle Lowry's contract was running out and the need for a pure point guard was there. But you look at this team talent-wise, even before they draft this player at 4th overall, and this is a team that you could see right in the Eastern Conference playoff race. I would consider them, relative to obviously the Brooklyn Nets, who are going to come back extremely strong next year, the Atlanta Hawks, who look like they're on the up and up, the 76ers, as long as I think they have Joel Embiid, who I think is going to win an MVP in the next few years, as long as they got that guy on the team, they're going to be pretty good. The Boston Celtics, I think, are going to be good as long as they got Jalen and Jason there. Who am I forgetting, guys? The Milwaukee Bucks, obviously, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. The Raptors look like they're in that maybe 5th to 6th area in terms of seeding. I wouldn't be surprised if it reaches anywhere from 3 to 7, maybe, or to 8. But I think health-wise, with all things considered, they are a playoff team. I think I can say that pretty confidently. Lukas, do you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think, what they went through this past season and you guys, broadcasted it all throughout the season, it was just very difficult. And hopefully, knock on wood, the Raptors are back in Toronto, back in a familiar environment. They get back in, they have their players back. They're healthy. They are a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. And it's funny, Saul, because you mentioned, a lot of those teams that were good the past few years, they've, maybe taken a step back. Look at the Boston Celtics, right? With Brad Stevens going from coach to GM, like who saw that coming, right?
Nobody.
Nobody. And Al Horford's now back with the Celtics. So it's pretty crazy just how quickly things can change. I don't think the Raptors are in that top tier Milwaukee, Brooklyn. I just think that they're, just on another level right there. But I would say that to me that the Raptors are probably a middle, like you said, 3 to 7 team. And then let's see what happens in the playoffs, right? Because I trust in Nick Nurse. I trust what he can do. And I also trust in the character guys of this team to be able to, who knows, pull off an upset. Because you saw in the East this year, things can happen. Crazy things can happen. And I still think that championship experience can really rub off on some of those guys once they get back to the playoffs, given that they missed it this past season.
Yeah. I agree with you guys 100%. In terms of that range. And I agree that really the only teams I think in a playoff series that I wouldn't pick the Raptors over, maybe, and this depends on my next point, are Brooklyn and Milwaukee are the teams that are definitely a step above in a playoff series. But after that, you can talk yourself into the Raptors beating, Boston's probably taking a step back. Philly, who knows?
You don't know what's happening.
Miami, who knows? But my other point is the question I asked obviously depends on what they do to fill out the roster. How do they spend their cap space? Are they because people talk about the cap space a lot with a max spot, Kyle Lowry, but it's also the back of the rotation. Last season, we saw the Raptors build a team. Really, 10 through 15 was all really young, unexperienced players. And I think what a top 4 pick does is it accelerates the timeline a little bit in the sense that you're probably getting a guy who is going to help right away. And if you get a guy who's going to help right away on top of this team that's already good, you're probably going to fill out that rotation with a little more veterans in mind, a little more guys that can come off the bench and like contribute to winning this season rather than just like development. And then there's the G League, a real season of G League for those young players. So I think what you guys said is right. And I just think like top 4 is so huge for that reason, is that I made this point before, but after the top 4, it gets murky in terms of most of the players, they need a couple years to contribute to like a winning playoff team. And everyone in the top 4, I think, is pretty safe to bet on, especially a Jalen Suggs, to just have a high floor right away and just help right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. It's like, I feel like it's hitting me in waves, guys, like every few minutes that the Raptors have a top 4 pick in the upcoming draft. I can't believe it, Lucas. I really can't.
How exciting is it going to be? Like, I'm just thinking about it right now. Like, fans back in Scotiabank Arena.
Oh my goodness.
With a Jalen Suggs or whoever they pick at that 4 pick. It's just bringing so much energy. And I just think that, like, I think I said this on Twitter, like, given what, everyone's been through the past year and what the Raptors have been through as a franchise, I mean, this is just a great night for the team and the fans. Just have a chance to celebrate. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the offseason, but certainly a lot of optimism, I mean, going into that. But fellas, listen, I'm going to step aside. It was great for me to come on here. You guys are doing a fantastic job. And
thank you, Lucas.
Playing
thank
for
you
what?
So much. Playing for what? That is the quote we're running with. Thank you so much to Lucas.
Yeah, thanks
Weese
for joining us, Lucas. Take it
Raptors
easy.
Republic.
Chat soon.
Okay.
Thank you, Lucas. Appreciate you.
And we have another exciting guest coming on in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I won't spoil the surprise, but
this one's going to be good, especially if you follow Raptors Republic. This one's going to be good. Damn, we've been going for an hour and 30 plus minutes, Oren. I'm going to be honest with you. As we're approaching this, I was thinking, what are we going to really talk about all that much? But I forgot that the last time I saw you was how long ago? It was like a year ago. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing you were. I'm scrolling through Twitter.
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't really all that interesting because I think everyone knew that the Raptors were going to draft for talent, but Bobby Webster is doing the media availability, not Masai. But not to get all negative, we have good news. We got Zarar on the pod. Zarar, man.
What's going on, man?
How you feeling?
I'm all right. I mean, 4th is pretty good. 4th is pretty good.
That's pretty damn good, Zarar.
I mean, so my only thing is like, so you know how Mobley has these. I think Mobley will fall to us. I think we kind of
really.
Don't you think so? I mean, I don't think the teams ahead of us necessarily have a great need for a big man. I mean, Orlando traded a bunch of them away, but just for a second though, he has some question marks on effort and some of these things on him. If you read his profiles and if you read his critiques, the main thing against him seemed to be, how badly does he want it? Yeah, he has the talent, but does he really does he want it? He has those kind of question marks on him. And I think the Raptors franchise historically has shied away from those kinds of players. I think the last one they drafted of that regard was a guy named Chris Jeffries. I don't know if you guys remember Chris Jeffries.
Oh,
remember that guy? And
that was a history lesson.
He was high all the time. Like he was high all the time, right? So I think that's. But at the same time, the Raptors organization is one that has known how to develop players. Right. So it's like these two competing thoughts in my head.
But I think development is different than like mindset. I haven't really read that much about Mobley being like, because he just looks so mature to me when I hear him speak and stuff. But I think development is different than mindset. I think the Raptors develop well, but you can't change a guy who doesn't want it into a guy who wants it. Right.
That's true. So I'm kind of sold on Mobley because one of the questions we were sort of talking about was like, what is Kem Birch enough to enter the season, or do we need some backup there? And I think big men are so hard to find, and all those dreams of whatever the Atlanta trading their guy to us, like that was a pipe dream at all times. But I think now my prayers have been answered. I prayed 2 rakat nafal Sahal for this one.
Wow! Yes, let's do it. That's
and
what I'm talking about.
So we went up 3. So I think our big men problem that was our number one off-season kind of to-do list has sort of been solved for us. I mean, do you go with the big man here, or what do you guys think? Is that what we are agreeing on, or what?
We kind of talked about it, but I think the consensus is that he won't be there because you're right that both of those teams have bigs, but there was already a report now that Cleveland is going to shop that pick aggressively, and it only takes one team to see Mobley and be like, he has so much upside, we can't let him fall. And that's why I would just be surprised if he fell to 4 without someone either trading up or one of those teams like Houston just talking themselves into like, he'll play fine with Wood, right?
I think one of those teams that they could shop aggressively might be the Raptors. Maybe it's the Raptors who are looking to move up, maybe to get the guy they want. So I wouldn't discount us from, like, if there's a guy that the Raptors have targeted in this draft, like they really, really want, it wouldn't be a long shot to say that the Raptors might even look to move up a couple of picks and give up some of their assets to get the guy they really want, because you're not going to get in this position in the draft too many times. Like, when was the last time the Raptors had a top 5 pick in a draft which was top heavy? I mean, I can't even think of one. Like,
no, Terrence Ross was their last first round pick that they had, and he was 9th in 2012.
He was a little down the road. So
2011,
this
I think was
you got to strike while the iron is hot, and if you got to move up, you got to move up, and if that means giving up somebody to get the guy you want, this is it, man. I would not be surprised to see the Raptors move up here.
That was the perfect segue, Zarar. And the reason being is because as I was scrolling down Twitter, I saw this from Sam Amico, who says the Cavs are expected to be aggressive in exploring trades involving the number 3 overall draft pick. So do you think, and this is a question for both of you guys think there's a chance that the Raptors move up a spot? Or is that hypothetical team that takes over that 3rd overall spot going to come up for a guy like Evan Mobley?
I mean, I'll let Oren take it.
I think it's possible they could move up, give up an asset to move up for Mobley. I think it's possible.
I mean, the last time the Raptors had like a swap in this sort of range was not really necessarily to move up a pick because they would miss out. It was the Vince Carter Anton Jameson trade, where they swapped 4-5 with Golden State, but that was more of almost a bit of a salary move to get that happening. So the Raptors would set a precedent if they do something like this, because I don't think they've ever. Well, I know they haven't ever been this aggressive the way Amico is suggesting there, but I just feel you're not going to be in this position too many times as a franchise. Something like this happens like once every 15 years. And I know that opportunity is everything, and we have a great front office staff that I think looks at this and goes, we can't just pick the guy that falls to us. That would be the kind of the lazy thing to do, is to just wait and see who's available and pick the best available player, even though that's their official corporate strategy. I think in this case, you got to be hunting, and if you got a guy on somebody in the top 2, man, to move up a pick, I think you do it. And the question is who you might give up to do that on the roster. So I don't know.
Yeah, or like a future first round pick, maybe that gets it done. But I think other team, that could get it done, considering we have 4, and we'll see. 2
4th overall picks, guys. And
it just doesn't. It doesn't. For some reason, it doesn't give me Raptors vibes that they would give up additional assets to move up 1 pick in the draft. Like, they're just so smart with their asset management. But at the same time, if they think Mobley is significantly better than Jalen Suggs or something, and he's still there at 3, then of course, why wouldn't you give up like a first round pick who's going to end up in the 20s, right? Like, of course.
I just read the last only 2 4th overall picks the Raptors have gotten in the NBA draft: Chris Bosh and Vince Carter, 2 Hall of Famers. What do we think about that? Are we drafting a Hall of Famer? Is Jalen Suggs the next Raptors Hall of Famer? Yeah,
that's a great point, because we're 2 for 2. We're two
We're
for
two for
two.
two, exactly.
2 for 2 drafting at this spot, and that was by much lesser GMs than what we currently have.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, I'm looking at like number 4 picks, but I can't seem to know how to use Basketball Reference anymore, so I give up on that.
That's all right. Zarar, do you want to hang around for a bit?
I got a couple more minutes. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, we got another special.
No, man. Hey, hang on, guys. Let's prioritize here. Let's get Samson on here. I'll head out. Let's let the challenge do the talking. All right?
Well, thanks.
I'll
Thanks
see you guys in a bit. We're moving up the draft.
Oh my God.
And that's for sure happening. See you guys.
Thanks for
See
joining
you,
us.
Zarar. Appreciate you.
Later.
We have a special guest from Raptors Republic, from Minute Basketball, from Bouncing Around podcast. One of the best to ever do it. He always gives me really good introductions on his podcast, so I'm just trying to do him justice. And more importantly, just a person I haven't spoken to in a very long time and who I missed. Samson, welcome to the pod. How you feeling, man?
I feel great. It's I'm a little sad Zarar couldn't stick around. It would have been cool to do the 4-man thing, but hey, thanks for the super nice introduction. I do try and do my best, especially when you guys come on. And yeah, it's been a while. I've been trying to kind of relax from Raptors stuff, and that's obviously been evidenced by my lack of work. But I think this is like a nice kickstart because everybody gets to get super excited about the potential of a top 4 pick, which is super exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Samson, wow. Thanks for joining us, first of all. Feels like it's been years when I was on your podcast. Oren hasn't talked to you in a while. I haven't talked to you in a while. I feel like I haven't talked to a lot of people in a while. This whole COVID thing just still rubbing me the wrong way. I'm going to ask you, Samson, because I'm trying to get everybody's opinion on this number 4 pick. Everybody has their own personal favorites. We've heard Evan Mobley. We've heard Jalen Green. We've heard Jalen Suggs. We know Cade's not dropping to 4. Who's your guy at number 4?
Okay, so I think Suggs is supposed to be the consensus safe pick. There's, he's going to probably be like an impact metrics guy. The same way that Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry show up on a bunch of impact metrics, but neither has that snake the pick and roll, hit 6 mid-range jumpers in the game type of thing. But they're going to keep continuously doing winning stuff. Jalen Suggs, you could see him sneaking in the back screen in a Spain pick and roll, like that. He could be doing all that kind of stuff, lots of secondary stuff. But Jalen Green and Mobley, I think, represent probably the higher potential of those 3. There's a draft analyst who you guys know. I know both of you guys really like them. I won't put their name to this, but they told me that Evan Mobley was a better prospect than Anthony Davis. Now, if that speaks to potential, if that speaks to, where's he going to hit, there's that. But you also have to look at the other side, too. Jalen Green, everybody's watching these playoffs. Donovan Mitchell, that pull-up. Jalen Green has a similar game to a lot of the pull-up artists, or a similar ceiling, let's say, to a lot of the pull-up artists who have been, producing massive numbers and keeping offenses afloat in these playoffs. So it's hard to look away from how the league has been trending and move away from, let's say, Jalen Green. But then, you have there's a plethora of options with Mobley and Suggs. I think I would go Green. I really do. And maybe that's dumb, but maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment because of the playoffs and just how crazy the pull-up is. But I think Jalen Green, if he fell to 4.
Yeah, no. Jalen Green. I've seen a lot of people mention that entire the fact that people need that isolation when it comes to the playoffs. You need that score, that Donovan Mitchell, that Devin Booker. Jalen Green's ceiling, I don't know if he has a ceiling, guys, to be quite honest with you. This guy, I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, 3-4 years down the road if he's one of the elite scorers in the NBA. Joshua left you a nice message. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Samson.
Oh, yeah, the crab.
He says he survived the crab. This is good news indeed.
Yeah, there was a huge crab at my house. It scared. I have a very small dog. He's a Chihuahua and a Dachshund and some other stuff. Nobody cares about what kind of dog you have, okay? This is like a classic white folk thing. I'm doing it. I apologize. Nobody cares what kind of dog I have.
It's a cute dog.
Small.
Man. I would boost my dog if I had a cute dog, man.
He's small, and there was a crab that was probably about half his size. Came into the yard, and I was like, oh, what the hell is this big ass crab? But we've moved past the situation, none of which is important relative to the draft stuff.
No,
thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
I think I'm with you in terms of Green and Mobley over Suggs in terms of upside. And then in terms of like what the Raptors need, just like a guy who can create his own shot a little bit. And I think like what you just said is true in terms of you want a guy who can, master the pull up in the playoffs. That's so important. But the alternate of that, I think if you don't necessarily have a pull up guy, is having an elite center, right? Like those are kind of the two ways to get by. And it's not many other ways other than those two. But I think maybe if Mobley has that kind of Anthony Davis upside, like there are flashes when he puts the ball on the floor and he just does things that 7-footers shouldn't do, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I would go Mobley over Green if he's there. And I think it's for that reason in terms of like, if you can have an elite center, even if you don't have the guard for crunch time, you still have a matchup nightmare in the playoffs. And like that front court would be a matchup nightmare for a lot of centers, right?
I think this was distilled in maybe the best All-Star game of the past 10 years, the one where Kyle Lowry was centered and focused with his charges. But on the one side, you had Team Giannis, which had Giannis, of course, and you had Team LeBron. And you look at how Team Giannis had Embiid down the stretch. It wasn't Lowry, it wasn't Siakam, it wasn't Giannis. They threw it into Embiid because it's a low turnover, maybe high quality possession at the end of games. And unfortunately for the 76ers this year, that didn't work out for them, but that was probably the people surrounding him. But as you say, having a good center can be a way to give you, an extra offensive bump. And especially if you're referring to like Evan Mobley getting the ball at like the 45, catching into a triple threat and then just getting way lower than he should be able to at his height. And then, going baseline, a dunk and that kind of stuff. He has so many tools in his tool bag, toolbox, whatever it is. And he's super intriguing. And the league has been fascinated and has fetishized length and height for such a long time. And I wouldn't say no to that either.
On top of length and height is shooting, and the Raptors have some limited offensive players, right? They've really prioritized, you could say, defense, and those players don't get to the rim a whole lot. And when they play 5 out like they did a couple of years ago, they just have a way easier time. The rest of the players, Siakam, right? Fred getting to the rim, and you get Jalen Green, but then you sign a center who, like, there's just not a lot of centers who could shoot, and Mobley will most likely be able to shoot the 3. If not in his rookie year eventually. So there's also that whole spacing aspect to it. But we're dreaming, and we're allowed to dream today because we got the 4th pick. It's sick.
Yeah, and I'm sure Sahal has stuff to say, but I'll say one more thing. The stretch the stretch 5 is kind of it's a lie in the NBA. You hear a lot about it, but you don't see very many stretch 5s. Like Marcus Gasol did it for like a space of like 7 months over his career, and he had the notoriety for 5 years of it. Nikola Vucevic isn't who you think of when you think of a shooting center, but as far as his efficiency, his prolific nature from that area, he's one of the guys. There's only like 3 or 4. And if Mobley comes in, shoots the way that he's supposed to be projected as a shooter, then you will have one of those very special, rare stretch 5s that a lot of people think there's quite a few of them, but Josh McRoberts from, Halcyon Days doesn't count. And so Mobley's interesting. I love that.
Yeah. Stepping away from the Raptors for a little bit. By the way, Samson, I've said enough. It's been almost 2 hours. I've said enough.
I don't know how we're still talking.
I was happy with you and Oren just going back and forth. I was trying to catch my breath. Couldn't control my heartbeat earlier when we got announced as the 4th pick. Stepping away from the Raptors a bit and looking at the other teams, is Cade Cunningham, it's a 2-part question for either of you guys. Is Cade Cunningham a guaranteed selection for the Detroit Pistons, and do you like that direction that they're going under Dwayne Casey?
Do you want to go first, Oren, or what do you want to do?
Go ahead. You're the guest.
Okay.
So polite, Oren.
I really like Killian Hayes. I think that he's going to have a very good career. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to all-star level, and that's like a ceiling thing. Does he go a little bit higher? Who knows, perhaps. And it's tough to put a cap on young players, but, for the sake of this, let's do that. Cade Cunningham, I think, is supposed to have a floor of all-star. And you look at what he did in Oklahoma this year was, his jump shot was a question mark beforehand. And then he became maybe one of the 5 best pull-up threats in college basketball. We know, I know you asked me for the league-wide stance, but Raptors fans know that sudden and rapid ascension like Pascal Siakam can help transform a team that would otherwise not be a title contender into one. That Raptors team in 2019, without Pascal Siakam becoming what he was, it's tough to see them winning it all. And Cade Cunningham, his ability to improve year over year, from you look at EYBL to Nike and all this kind of stuff, then you go into college and who knows what he'll be able to do in the league. I think he's probably the guy, because when you look at Jalen Green or Evan Mobley, maybe you were looking, especially for Green, as a guy who can create a little bit more the event creation that Cade Cunningham seemingly lacked, but something he brought, let's say, more so than Jalen Suggs did over the course of, the college year, even though he was on a much worse team. That's interesting, and I think that makes it so that he ends up going to Detroit, and they just try and figure out whatever they can with Killian and Cade sharing responsibilities. So I love that for them. Detroit's a cool place, man. It's cool as hell. I'm glad they get a good team. Yeah, and I think it'll be great.
I'm glad he didn't go to Cleveland. I'd prefer Detroit or Houston to they've had enough number one picks.
Yeah, I was about to say that. They've had enough number 1 picks, man. Like the fact that Cleveland got number 3 in this draft, like their draft lottery luck. I don't know who's doing this type of dark magic in Cleveland or whatever it is that they're behind. But it's incredible what Cleveland just manages to do every single NBA draft lottery. Oren, do you like what they're doing in Detroit? Quick question for you.
Yeah, well, I like this point by friend of the pod, Josh. Do I like what they're doing in Detroit? I mean, yeah, I'm happy for Dwayne Casey. He finally has a star, and they'll finally be respectable. I think they could honestly be a sneaky. Well, yeah, given that there's a play-in now, they could definitely be a play-in team as soon as next season. I was saying earlier, Cade was on. I would recommend it. Cade was on JJ Redick's podcast, and he was talking about some of his career goals, and he said, making the playoffs in my rookie year is definitely a goal of his. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. And it's true. Detroit is a cool city. They deserve something good. And yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for all of the top 4 teams. None of the rest.
I do want to touch on something. Joshua Howe commented on Mobley and the pick and rolls. That is actually why I like Green better, because I think, as we've seen, the Raptors, they like to service their bigs as scorers in the pick and roll. That's why the Baines signing didn't work as well offensively as many people had hoped, because Baines had just come from the Phoenix Suns, where he was carving out space for Devin Booker so Booker could become a shot maker, whereas Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry don't really have the appetite for that. So in the structure, the scheme of the Raptors offensively, what they're really missing is the guy who's going to have the space carved out, and he's going to fill that with his own scoring. That's why Jalen Green, I think, was interesting, and this is the prisoner of the moment playoffs thing, is that it seems a lot harder to adjust and stop carving out space for the scorer than it is a pick and roll attack that services the big. You can pre-rotate, you can tag, you can run guys from the weak side corner when they do the weak side zone. You can cheat off of other guys to stop it if your big is the big name. But if it's Jalen Green, projecting and developing into one of these big time shot makers on the pull up, then there's not much you can do besides give a 4-on-3 advantage if you're going to double or trap. And we've seen the Suns put teams in really complicated situations, and they don't even have 2 of the best players in the league. They just have specific skill sets that are valuable in the context of the playoffs. And once again, prisoner of the moment, could be dumb, could be super dumb. But that's why I like Jalen Green, because I've always wanted the Raptors to dip their toes in the shot-making, scoring pick and roll. And they've ignored Siakam, and they won't let him do it. So if they can bring on a guard and maybe let him do it, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I don't think being a prisoner of the playoff moment is a bad thing at all. I think we're seeing the last 5 minutes of games. You need that type of player, and Mobley would help. He has some event creation. He would help in the regular season. he's like an Embiid type where he would help for 44 minutes, but in the last 5 minutes, he doesn't solve that fundamental problem that the Raptors have. Before we go any further, though, we got another Raptors Republic friend, Brendan, joining the show. Brendan, welcome. Do you have any thoughts about what you just heard any of us say? Open question.
I agree with Samson that I like Jalen Green probably the most at 4. Nice. A lot of the reasons that he said, just with the half court creation. One thing that, like with Mobley, I get the fit is a big thing with him, and I'm sure he's going to be awesome, but there is a bit of a concern with me for taking a big man this high in the draft, given how historically they develop and how risky it is to spend high picks on big men. Like we just saw with James Wiseman last year, he's, again, probably going to be good, but he's going to take a while. Yeah, I really like Jalen Green. I think Jalen Suggs is, again, like Samson said, kind of the safe guy. He's high floor, not as high of ceiling as the other options there. Yeah.
I wanted to quickly say, after what myself, Samson, Brendan, and Oren have all seen from guys like Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker in the playoffs, Jalen Green seems like a pretty good idea, especially I don't know if you guys remember in that game 4 Suns versus Denver, after the game when they asked Chris Paul, when I think he dropped 37 points, they asked him what was behind all the success the Suns had against the Nuggets. And I mean, the Nuggets were underhanded. We all knew that. Jamal Murray was out. Did anyone expect a Suns sweep? No, I didn't. I don't know if Samson, Oren, or Brendan did. But they asked him, and he said, look, the league's moving towards drop coverage, especially in the playoffs. And myself and Devin understand that, and we've known that's been happening the last couple of years. So why not take advantage of the mid-range? And I think Jalen Green's that type of guy where he can become an elite shot maker between the three-point line and the paint. And I'm excited. The more I think about Jalen Green, the more excited I am. I think I've been so zeroed in on Evan Mobley and Jalen Suggs. Just in terms of the fit Jalen Suggs would be beside Fred VanVleet, and then Evan Mobley. Samson said, I think I know who you're talking about when you made that Anthony Davis comparison, or you cited it, I guess, from someone else. I think I know who that's from. Again, I'm not going to say who as well, but man, that just speaks to how much I think people, speak highly and look highly at Evan Mobley. Brendan, I'm going to ask you the same question that everybody else that I've asked everyone else. You said you like Jalen Green at 4 probably the most. Who's a guy outside of that box, that top 4 box, that Cade, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, and Evan Mobley, who outside that top 4 would you be pretty happy with if hopefully Masai Ujiri, if he's signed to a contract, and Bobby Webster would take at number 4? Who's outside that box that you like as a prospect?
So I think outside those top 4, the guy I have at number 5 would be Scottie Barnes. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a bit different because I know a lot of people have Kuminga, but I buy so much of what Scottie brings to the table with his playmaking and defense. I don't know if you guys were keeping track with the combine today, but he has posted like measurables similar to OG. And for a guy who you can have basically playing the point, if that's at times if you want, Scottie Barnes is just going to be an athletic freak who can defend probably 1 to 4, maybe 1 to 5 if he gets a bit stronger. And I like his playmaking a lot. I think he's a top 5 passer in the draft. And for a player his size, that's something to keep an eye on as well. I have him above Kuminga just because Kuminga is such a big question mark. And so if we're looking, if they don't want to go with these top 4 guys and they want to go outside the box, I would prefer Scottie to Kuminga just because I think there's a lot more to his game that's going to translate faster anyway. But yeah.
Matt Shantz was on earlier and he said the same thing. Scottie, I think I like Scottie too. I'll ask you, Samson, do you have anyone you want to point out real quick outside of that top 4?
I watch some college basketball, but I've been lucky to become friends with a lot of the draft Twitter guys and was added to a draft Twitter group chat for whatever reason. I've never covered it. And I I can't do anything but lean on their expertise. And I don't know if this is just like a Twitter take or whatever else, but Jaden Springer, they say, look this direction. I start watching some film. It's a very sexy pick to me. There's these crashing wild finishes that Kyle Lowry has at the rim, these huge pro steps where he's catching a big shoulder and he's dislodging them, getting into a 2-foot stop and finishing like a 3-year-old child because he's emptied the lane with his physicality. Jaden Springer has some of that finishing. And as far as like, a lot of people rate him as one of the best defenders in the draft and one of the best point of attack defenders in the draft. And there's a conversation about how important point of attack is versus scheme. And that's changing a lot in the league right now. But I think I'm going to lean on my pal's opinions and go Springer.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. Someone we've talked about actually with Brendan on the show. He's one of those smart people who likes Springer a lot. I'll ask you guys one more question before we let you go here, and that's we already talked kind of about where we think the Raptors will be next season in terms of kind of that 4-5-6 range, maybe in the East if they fill out the roster as we kind of hope. But assuming that this team builds through free agency with the core they have rather than kind of makes a big swing trade, and this is obviously a tough question to answer, but how long do you think it'll take before the Raptors are back to contention status? And what has to happen with, on the roster for that to be the case? Either of our guests.
I've said enough words. Brendan, Samson, this is your show now. Go ahead, guys.
I'll weigh in, I guess. For contention, I think we need a bit more talent in addition to this pick if we want to get back to that level, if I'm being honest. Just with what we saw last year, I think we exceeded expectations last year with the roster that we had, getting to the second round, taking Boston to 7, even with the bubble situation. There's just some weaknesses that we have. Like our half-court creation needs a lot of work. That could be fixed if we get Jalen Green, for example. We need another big man. Mobley fits in there. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm not really on the Fred VanVleet train. If we want to win another championship, I'm not sure if he's the point guard we need. I like him a lot, but I don't know if he's going to be a Kyle Lowry level impact. That's where I'm sitting. So I think, we need to add a bit more talent, and I think we need to look at potentially moving some pieces. I think it's a ways off, though. Like, we're going to need this pick that we're about to make. We're going to need him to develop. We're going to need him to start meshing. And then, we're going to need to see where the draft next year takes us. But we're definitely on the right track now. This top 4 pick is going to help us get there a lot sooner than the 7th pick would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for myself, I think maybe if you look at the Suns as, a bit of a blueprint, but what they obviously did was they looked to shore up certain things in how they were built. And you look at a team like the Raptors, you want to maximize, you want to polarize outcomes of context that you're good at, things you're good at. For the Raptors, it was, the hallmark of their championship season. And then the first place in the East season following that, second best record was, a rapid flying around defense that was built on the backbone of communication and intelligent, minute reads that are constantly being made in concert with each player. That was removed. And so that defense became a lot less successful, but they still relied heavily on transition that they couldn't create at the same rate. So what are they missing currently? They're missing a defensive structure to some degree, and they're also missing, as Brendan said, that half-court creation. What the Suns did was they banked on getting for their team to improve, and they brought in the half-court creation in the body of Chris Paul, for example. And when we look at the Raptors, you have to bank on them improving quite a bit in-house to some degree, whether that's Pascal Siakam, who was already like a 90th percentile post playmaker this year, getting into that 95, 97. Like, he has to be where Karl Anthony Towns is probably as far as how he can impact the defense when he inverts it and makes them, play defense against playmaking from the middle, something like that, in addition to what he's already good at. or it's the pull-up jumper for him. Fred VanVleet, I think, is really interesting, as Brendan said, because it's tough with him because his limitations are on screen all the time, and when they show up, they're quite large. And when he does it, it seems like it's against the odds, whereas you watch some of these elite scorers, it seems easy. A Fred VanVleet explosion seems like, a Cinderella story. You don't really want that. You need heaps and heaps of talent to win in the NBA. And Jalen Green, I think for contention, a guy like Jalen Green or a guy like Evan Mobley, I think it's a shrewd free agent move that lines up with, I would say, Fred, OG, Pascal, the end of their contracts. And then you're banking on probably Mobley or Green becoming max level guys towards the end of their rookie scale. Those things happen, and I think they'll contend. If it's Suggs, I think they have to move quite a few more pieces to kind of shake things up. But I think that's the blueprint. And that's a lot of stuff that has to happen, but it's stuff that can happen. So that's like, hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think Suggs is a clean fit in terms of play point guard, and Fred's kind of the two, but they share the ball a ton. But I also think Suggs is the guy that he's not solving the half court event creation problem. He's not solving the crunch time, game slow down, who's going to get us a bucket problem. So, yeah, I mean, just thank you guys for joining us. We're going to let you go, and we're going to kind of exit and finish this show. As you can see, it's been a long time, but thanks for joining us. Follow these guys on the Twitter sphere. They're both doing great work on Raptors Republic and elsewhere. So, yeah. See ya.
I would appreciate if you guys followed Sahal and Oren from me. That was what I would want.
Me too.
Yeah, one more thing.
All these guys.
Such a good job hosting. So you should be proud of what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
2 hours is a long live stream, man. You guys got
stamina. I need a drink badly.
I'm trying my best to sip on this water and do my thing. But one more thing I want to say before we let go, Brendan. He did a really, really good NBA draft primer on Raptors Republic. He released a 3-part series. I read, I think, part 2 and 3. Part 1 might be the one I should have read because I think part 1 was the top 5.
Well, now
the top 5 one, yeah. So I was at that point. I was like, you know what, we're gonna get the 7th pick. So let me just read this. But go on RaptorsRepublic.com and look for that NBA draft primer that Brendan released. It's really, really good. And now I guess we're all reading part 1. I'm gonna go read it right after this. Yeah. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Samson.
All right, and before we let you guys go, first of all, I just want to say thank you to the viewers who have stayed with us this whole entire time. We really appreciate the support, and I mean, give this video a like. That would mean a lot to us. And also give Sahal a follow. Sahal just released a really good piece on Raptors Republic about the 2019 champions, where they are. It's really detailed. It's interesting. It goes in depth on these characters and what they're doing now. So give Sahal a follow. And do me a favor and give me a follow. Just to plug myself unshamedly real quick. I'll be in Victoria, BC. I'll be covering the Canada men's basketball tournament for Raptors Republic, maybe some other places. So if you are interested in international basketball in the Canada men's team and their hopes to qualify for the Olympics, I'll be tweeting about it. I'll be writing about it, and you can follow me for all that. And final words are yours, mister.
Oh, I was gonna plug my own stuff. You did a great job of that. So yeah, I did post a almost 5,000 word piece on Raptors Republic. And guys, I don't write all that much. So when I do, I hope to write a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. For all the people that have already read it and have sent me messages or have retweeted or shared, I really appreciate it. That is on RaptorsRepublic.com. It's a quick revisit of the NBA champions, like Oren said, where I take a look at where I think 16 players, where they all are, Serge Ibaka, all the way down to Jody Meeks and Malcolm Miller and Jordan Lloyd, who I believe is now in Russia, in Zenit St. Petersburg. I take a look at all those players. What else do I have coming out? I'm going to plug, why not plug my podcast I'm doing on the side, Basketball Bullies. If you're into NBA Top Shot, I have a really cool podcast that I run with some close friends of mine. It's called the Basketball Bullies Podcast, so check that out as well. We give NBA Top Shot tips, the latest news, all that stuff on top of NBA playoff coverage. if you are into Canada basketball, I feel like I'm repeating everything Oren said, but if you are into Canada basketball, follow Oren right now. He's going to be in Victoria, BC, up front center, covering your Canada basketball program. I can't wait. It's going to be a huge opportunity for Oren. I know he's going to make the most of it. So follow him for all the Canada basketball coverage. And last but not least, Oren, I want to thank all of our guests. I feel like my voice is cracking at this point. I want to thank all of our guests. Who did we have? We had William Liu. We had Matt Shantz. We had the two guys who were just on, Samson and Brendan. We had Lukas Weese.
Kyle Brickman.
We had Kyle Brickman.
Yeah,
we had so many people come on today.
Yeah.
So we appreciate them as well. Most of the people we had on, by the way, are from Raptors Republic or formerly from Raptors Republic, like William Liu. So check them out there. Check some of their work out there. Man, who would have thought we're in 2 hours and 15 minutes? I guess we're going with that for now until the NBA draft.
Good. I stole that and tweeted it immediately. I love it.
Yeah, we the fourth. I guess I didn't expect a 2 hour and 15-minute live broadcast, but here we are. I appreciate all of the comments. I think we got hundreds and hundreds of comments from the start of the broadcast to the end. So we appreciate each and every one of you. We see some names that have been here since the beginning, so we appreciate you guys as well. We tried our best to highlight some of your comments, respond to some of your comments. This was fun. This was a great night. That's gonna wrap it up.
Thank you all.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for myself and Oren. This was the wrap up. What's normally a Raptors Republic post game live show. Hopefully Oren comes up with another great idea, because this was great. The NBA draft.
Oh, we'll probably be back for the draft night, everyone. We'll probably be back for the draft night.
Why not? Let's do a live draft show.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys there. Thank you again to our guests, the live commenters, Oren himself.
Thank you.
And who else did I forget, Oren? I feel like that's everyone.
No, we got it. Yeah. Good night.
That's everyone.
Good night.
I was going to say, have a great night.
Yeah.
Oren, say what you got to say and we'll wrap it up.
No, go watch Devin Booker stunt on these people.
On these feet.